some reason, it is impossible to legally for them to admit them.
Why, hello, everyone.
Hello.
That was a particularly low energy opening, but it doesn't exactly match how we feel. So, hello, everyone.
Yep.
What is happening?
Right. It's time to open up the news. Things are going on, everyone. A bit sweaty. It's because I was just doing my stretches.
Yeah. No, it was funny because I was when I was scheduling this stream this morning, I looked at the description for last week's stream, and I think it was something along the lines of what a crazy 7 days it's been since we were last here. So yeah, it's a day that ends in Y. That's what Connell's been saying recently about.
He's really right. It's quite something.
Yeah, it is a.
There we go.
It's a day that ends in Y.
Which means my chat pop up at the ready.
Blizzard are doing something. Activision Blizzard's under some sort of strike for scrutiny. Be that because of industry factors, be that because of in-game factors, or be that just because they exist and thus are cursed to do something.
Yeah, it's it's a funny time. It's a funny time indeed.
Yep.
So funny. I need to find a new word.
Hilarious.
With patch 9.2, they were so close to having this be, fun, happy, but then the bean counters decided it was time to make more money.
Yeah, I mean, every single time, it's just, now would be the worst time possible for the general look of what you're doing overall to try to milk more money out of your wheels. Yeah. And without fail, every time they're like, the only strategy they know is when they're in the news or when there's momentum to continue with that momentum.
Yeah. Milk harder!
Yeah, but they have no idea whether that momentum is positive or negative. It's like, fucking go.
There's tates over a bucket, get milking.
Oh,
there's nothing else for it, like, that's it.
Absolutely.
In the big open world parlor of milking that is World of Warcraft.
Yes.
That's a bit of an unfair way to put it.
Yes.
But hey, the mounts can feel a bit iffy to people, so.
Alpaca Lord, I'm controlling the cameras with a stream deck here. That's what's going on. They're not automatic. They were automatic. They should be automatic, but how do I put it? That's a technical challenge, and I'm very stupid.
You said it.
Yeah, no, it's we've had a couple different solutions. Nothing's worked yet, and haven't quite had the time to just sort of sit down and do it 100% properly. But
things work 95%, but for a production environment, they really need to be 99.9%.
Yep.
So yeah, right. Look, patch 9.2 data mining has begun. Now it hasn't actually begun because really of patch 9.2, from what I understand, I think it's just that the Season of Mastery build just happens to have stuff in it or something. I heard that at one point. I mean, I don't know. I've not been majorly up to date.
So I believe that's what they were doing initially. There was some stuff initially that came from the Season of Mastery build having strings and stuff updated, but it is, generally speaking, the 9.2 build is unencrypted and everyone's going fucking ham through it. So.
Oh, the build is unencrypted.
Oh yeah. They unencrypted it and then said, "Hey, we've unencrypted this, but just let everyone know we're not going to have PTR playable until after Thanksgiving." Why is it unencrypted now? Probably because they knew they could. Well, they're all off for a week, right? Next week.
Yeah.
So they couldn't just have nothing for a week, especially because Ian said it was coming very soon. Well, I think he said very, very soon, and then said a couple weeks. And everyone's like, which fucking one is it? But they made it, they unencrypted it, then said, oh yeah, so there's the public vendor one, and we'll not have PTR public rolling out until the week after Thanksgiving. They didn't say why, but everyone knows it's because they've all given a week off, which, fair play to them. It's just unfortunate that it now means PTR is Endwalker Early Access Week. So, thanks, fuckers.
Balls.
Yeah. Bastards.
Balls. You know what? Fuck it. It'll be a bunch of MMOs in 1 week, so I'll have a fun enough time.
Yeah.
But there is new content in the game right now. Do we have any swipers in chat? Any swipies? So we're going to talk about the new store items. Yum, yum, yum. Right, which is itself an interesting topic because I was joking about like, the dates are still over the bucket. That's milk harder. And that's kind of what's going on in a way.
Yeah.
The cadence of, bing, bing, wahoo, money for Bobby has certainly increased lately. And I suppose if we were to do a recap of that, WoW store. Can I have a WoW store, please? Fantastic. Hope you're all ready for a nice Black Friday deal.
Oh, yeah, before we go any further, I mean...
Slurp, slurp, slurp.
Yeah, I know Dakor goes in on this pretty hard, but... as soon as you open the BattleNet launcher, it is just a full screen. You cannot continue until you dismiss this pop-up. Buy now! It's Black Friday! 100 whatever sale. Go for it. And it was... it's the kind of thing where... Talked about it before when it comes to, like, Hearthstone. And if you haven't logged into Hearthstone, it shows you everything you could possibly buy, basically, before you actually get into the game. And it just feels so like, no, fuck you, here's the shop, here's the store. Very marketing advertisement first versus actual like UX design.
Hearthstone is a fucking assault. As soon as if you haven't logged into that game in 6 months, it's an assault. Now, it's also a pretty casually, it's a good fun game.
Yeah, of course.
Credit to the developers, like, especially like the new Book of Mercenaries content apparently is really great, like truly, truly great, and is totally evocative of Warcraft. But yeah, so I was going to talk about the store stuff. So we just had this mount. Was this last week? Week before?
Time is irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, time is very confusing these days.
It was 2 weeks ago, maybe 3.
2 weeks, right. So we had this, and this was just a straight up $25. No, no bundles, no nothing. No 6 month sub, just $25. And then, of course, we had the Sapphire Skyblazer, which, of course, was the 6 month mount, the most recent 6 month mount, right? When did the Skyblazer come out? It was decently recently, anyway.
Yes, question mark.
I think, was that in and around the time of 9.1? Anyway.
It was just before that, I believe.
So we got the Skyblazer, we've got the Furline coming into the game. They have now added 2 more things, and of course, there is the Hearthstone crossover promo mount. There is also the multitude of Hearthstone goodies that you get with the WoW 6 month sub. All of this stuff tells us the situation is basically this. World of Warcraft's got to get revenue up from Blizzard. Right, because the segment revenue of the various different business units of Activision Blizzard, that's something that is always a part of the quarterly earnings calls. I mean, obviously, it's an earnings call from a business. The earnings are important. And if you want to drive those earnings up, well, you're going to be doing things like this. And it is just interesting that the cadence of these have increased at a pretty similar time to, you could say, the cadence of, the cadence of content has somewhat decreased. I suppose another thing they also did is if we go down to the Game Services tab. In the Game Services tab, of course, there's the World of Warcraft boost up to level 60. Yep. And the thing with this boost, right, is they wouldn't do these until usually a decent bit after the launch of the final patch.
Yeah.
I believe that's, if memory serves anyway. So it's just very interesting that they're doing this earlier than normal. Kind of suggests to me that they're almost viewing 9.2 as somewhat of where all that Covenant stuff's kind of in the past. Everyone come to the new patch. Instant level 60 for the new patch. Feels like they're kind of doing that. Now, that said, it's interesting that the level 50 boost is... I mean, it's not listed in the store. Is it in-game?
I don't think
Does the 50 boost still exist? Because it is a bit weird that, there's no way for a boosted person to be at the start of Shadowlands now, which is... I suppose just a funky little quibble.
Well, considering that they, after the last time we were talking, it was a whole bunch of stuff about them removing quests because, it wasn't with experience, but it also means that the actual plot of Shadowlands is missing to players who play now anyway. So I guess they've finally just went, who gives a shit?
I suppose so, yeah. So after, of course, all of that stuff, which, didn't get great player sentiment, mostly because even though the art for all of these things near universally is fantastic, they're driving the monetization harder at a period of time where people aren't maybe as satisfied with some of the in-game rewards, and the amount of content that you're getting for your baseline subscription is at an all-time low. So then, pretty much on the day, that we find out that Jim Ryan is sending scathing internal emails, that Phil Spencer does the same as head of Xbox and is also, talking about reevaluating aspects of our partnership.
Yeah, which there's actually
could be big.
There is also a very, very fun thing that, while nowhere near confirmed, is an extremely loose rumor. Has been rumored, was brought to my attention. I believe it was Ned Stalker who did so, and also Connell as well. But there's rumor that might actually make Phil Spencer's of Xbox's statement substantially more interesting.
Bigly.
Yep.
Bigly is not a word, but whatever, I used it. Humongously. So on the day that all that's going on, that the staff walkout has happened, there's the calling for Bobby Kotick to be gone, right after the whole, just all of that happens, the Wall Street Journal's reporting. Well, it is time for the Celestial Observers Ensemble for the low, low price of $20. Now, this is, it's interesting. The basic set is fairly simple. However, the complete appearance set features an enthralling Starscape effect. It does. You can see there. Of course, look at this incredible leveling gear. There's a nice little comparison that people are making. That's not leveling gear, that's tier. And it's funny with the new tier set. We'll talk about it later, but the mythic versions generally look really cool and way closer to the concept art. Boy, howdy, the normal and heroic. So the version of the gear that the vast majority of the player base will have access to. Not least because, of course, a fixed 20-person team is very different from the format of normal and heroic rating. Such that I almost see mythic as like a little separate category in a way. Yeah. The type of gear that most people will be able to get is kind of looking like this. And then, this, which has got all of the fancy effects, is just in the store. Now, funny enough, this, I think it was Soul So Breezy who pointed out, this isn't actually a lighting effect. That's actually just a gradient on the actual texture.
Yep, which it sort of looks okay in the world when you're looking at it and, baked in lighting. But if you look at it kind of without the rest of the gear on, it looks grim. But you're buying a Transmog set. You're not buying different parts of mix and match. I mean, you can, but that's not how it's sold. So it's like, is it really dodgy and kind of grim? So maybe.
Now, there's another funny thing here on the Transmog sets, and I know this ship is kind of sailed.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of sailed, but I do remember whenever they put in the Transmog helms. They put the Transmog helms in, and they took them out. And they basically said that they were a bit too far. Like, I remember that coming from some official Blizzard communications way back in the day, because those helms came in Cataclysm. So I'm talking way back in the day.
Yeah.
So obviously there has been a policy change regarding this.
Of course.
I wonder why.
Communicated one? Probably not.
Definitely not a communicated one. So, not only, though, can you buy this for the low, low price of $20, you can also get... Oh, wait, hang on. This is a good tweet from Jet. I don't mind cool stuff being in the store, but this is a total insult to players when you can't put in that same kind of effort for items in-game that you earn. Now, this is very true. How do you guys have any sense of pride in the work you do, Warcraft devs? Now, this is actually the thing.
Yeah.
I sort of can't say too much, but there's a lot of situations here where the artists are working in this, and they're like, I've just made a cool effect. Look at that. What a great piece of, everyone's very happy about the piece of work that's being made. That artist may not 100% in themselves approve of where that piece of work goes.
Yeah.
The important thing to remember is that's not their fucking call. What happens is they get a task assigned to them. They have to do that task. I can tell you, I know of at least one instance of sort of a similar situation where it's like, yeah, great bit of art. Maybe not 100% on board with the sort of business model side. And that's going to be what it's like, because at the end of the day, developers they don't rule the roost here.
No, I mean...
in a way they do, broad direction and stuff. But the person who's actually going to make this really doesn't rule the roost. And that's just the way that it is. Another tweet, this is a quote tweet of my tweet. Don't think any single solitary person would be upset about any of these items if we had equal items in-game. This is why FF14 store does so well. The in-game mounts / glams are on par with the ones in the store. I mean, look, this is a funny thing, because there's been, for some, this... And I used to sort of have this belief of just like, no. Yeah. If it's in the store, it's in the store. Don't make it be an in-game obtainable thing, because at least then it's in its own little category, and you sort of... there's no way somebody could be a bit confused about, oh, look at the prestige of having that bit of gear, even though it was a bit of swipe gear. I suppose, though, Is that the wrong way of looking at it? Is that the more, problem-solving, punitive way of looking at it? Is the better way to look at it maybe the one of what drives the most player satisfaction? And if players are satisfied, they maybe won't like the store, but they'll at least put up with it. And that's the FF14 situation. Do you think that's maybe a bit more in the money for what realistically is going to happen for these big companies? Because he ain't getting them to improve the store, I'm afraid.
Yeah, so the FF14 comparison is interesting because it's just kind of, that's the people are okay with it generally because it's, they're happy enough with the game. There is certainly, it is funny. Obviously, the actual deeper monetization that's enabled by these stores is what you look at and go, well, why are you asking people to pay for more stuff? But then I think it's perfectly fine. It's all of the, all of the incentives for the developers, and not the developers as in the day-to-day developers, but the developers, the studio, the people who publish it. All of the reason is there for them to completely shit all over players in order to get more money out of them, as opposed to it being the thing of, oh, while you're here, would you like to buy something else that you want? And I think that's a thing where in FF, people are happier with the store. Obviously, there's some parts of it that feel a little bit egregious, and generally it'd be better if they weren't there, like the SDS Fenrir having one extra mount speed up until the cap. That's something that if we were in any other game, or if we're in any game, I'd call it completely unfair. But people are sort of like, fuck it, whatever. It's not extra mount speed, it's one step up. You're kind of shortcutting a very small thing there. But that is relatively unacceptable. The Lunar Whale's an interesting one because it's so expensive, but it was also at $40-something, but it was also going to be, FanFest ticket. So they kind of went, we're not selling FanFest tickets, but we want to put on a show. We'll make the show free and we'll sell this whale instead. So in that specific scenario, we go, okay, sure, okay, whatever. If they started to add more amounts that were like that and didn't have that excuse, then you'd be, people would kind of go, hang on now, you're kind of taking the piss here. But if you look at it like League of Legends as well, that's a case where people are generally happy with how cosmetic heavy that story is, because the game is they've made sure to draw the line in the sand where the game feels separate enough to the store.
Yeah.
Obviously they've tied it in together with what's it, Blue Essence is called now. It used to be called RP and IP, but it's that case where I think you're right. Just saying cash shops are bullshit is it's that thing where I don't want to say it's inevitable because that sounds bad, but it basically is inevitable. We're in this world where that's how companies work. It's the same as anything else when you're just going into a store and they're going to want you to buy more.
Yeah.
It's as long as they do it in a way that's kind of feels fair and reasonable enough and it doesn't detract from the original experience. Yeah. Which is sort of the case of if you're going to a shop, you're not going to get mad that they have yellow stickers with stuff on sale around the place because you're there anyway. Sort of bit of a weird comparison to make, but you kind of follow, I think.
Yeah, and I think with this as well, there's just some aspects beyond, the timing is obviously awful, but there's another aspect where it's just that bit of tier that most people will get. So I'm talking about the non-mythic version. Just really, people have wanted tier for so long, and the tier really does feel, without the mythic elements, it feels a bit more homogenized. The colors they showed off weren't super strong. So obviously it's going to feel bad. And, there's some people who have sort of posited, oh, but this was timed for months. It was a plan. Right, well, they're good. You definitely shouldn't be in business if that's what you think. Because, what is a plan? Well, it's just your series of operations, etc., 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 to achieve a goal. If the strategic landscape changes, but you don't change your plan, you're fucking stupid. And if you were in... Well, I mean, it's just that, right? We all know this. They say no plan survives contact with the enemy. That's pretty true. But there are plans that can change and shift and morph when that contact happens to result in a success. There's then plans that are rigid, that will just fail and fall over and catch fire, right? So that whole thing of, it was a plan, I mean, that's just belligerently stupid, I think. It's very hard to have it stand up to logic. The only thing I would say is it is something that shows that the corporate sludge It's the corporate sludge that means that a plan cannot be agile enough to deal with shifting real-world scenarios. I think the best startups and the best companies are the ones that know when to pivot. They know when to alter a plan. They know when to prioritize long-term over short-term, or maybe a case where they need to do a big short-term push. This is a case of a company not having that operational agility and that leading to them having bad results with their customers. So I think it's a pretty weak, explanation, not excuse, is the best that I would give it.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking on the news channel. We were talking about Rockstar and the GTA trilogy recently, and one of the things I brought up was like, how do you not have someone in the organization who has the desire and the capability to go, well, I'm going to make sure everything that goes out is okay. Like, why did no one hit the big red button on this going out if they did think it was, a bad thing for optics or anything like that? And I guess that's a part of the operational agility. It's not even like, obviously operational agility is very, very important, but the idea of just, did no one look at the scheduled post to post these live and go, should we maybe think about this or try to stop it maybe?
Should we maybe not do this on the very same day that two of the industry's most important leaders are calling us out and all of the headlines are blasting our leadership?
Yeah.
It is crazy. It is crazy. I mean, if you wanted this to do better, wait till the new patch comes out, do a big humongo, everything event to try to get people in, but goddamn time it. But of course, that is not all, folks. It is time for the Baby Murloc backpack. It's really nice. It's really cute. Yep. I do love how they, they do the new backpack thing, and, you've got the recruit a friend, you've got this. They're certainly making money out of it. I mean, of course, you do get the Covenant ones too, but it's just that thing as always. Could you imagine being able to do 1 month of World of Warcraft content in order to earn this?
Wild.
Wouldn't that be crazy, everyone? Mm-hmm. See, that's actually how rewards used to work. Instead, now it's, ticking the box on some achievements that have a bunch of RNG, like in Korthia, or it's, waiting on a Paragon box or something. Where's the old school reps and stuff? I don't know. Well, now, for $15, you will get some Murlocs. It's only $5 a Murloc because you get all three color variants. It is an absolute value. It's a value nuke. My God.
Might as well be free.
That's it. I mean, hopefully it's 3 separate items, so it does 3 different all the things entries. I mean, that would be absolutely poggers, aren't I? Right, gamers? Yes. So, anyway, look, it's not really $15. I actually have this.
Yep.
Matt probably has it. Loads of you probably have it if you've been on the 6-month sub, because yes, the 6-month sub does get you that. So it's funny, I'm on the 6-month sub. I'm on it because I was on it. Yeah. Playing in around 9.1. Should really sort of hit the pause button on that. You don't need to be subbed to do PTR, and I don't think any of us are planning to do too much live gameplay right now. Wait, feck! Legion Time Walking.
No, because they've put Legion Time Walking the same time as the competitor MMORPG is releasing a new expansion.
So let's see, we've got 9.2 PTR and Walker Early Access and Legion Time Walking. Yep. Good, we need a lot of these then. But yeah, look, so this is $35 of microtransactions. Of course, one of them is tied into the 6-month sub, that also has a bunch of other things, and, all the Hearthstone packs and things in the friggin' universe. And look, as we said, it's just not a good look. There's also the Black Friday sale, and hey, they have every right to do a sale. We're not going to come out here and say, oh, you evil bastards doing a sale at Black Friday like every single other business on earth. It's more that it's just a funny thing of, the timing isn't super ideal. I mean, look, what I would say, you see this shit? Delay this shit, my dudes. Yeah. Keep the Black Friday sale because fair enough.
Yes.
That's one that you're going to be able to get through people pretty easily. Now, I'm sorry to say, everyone, I've sold you all short. I've really screwed you over and messed you up because there is another store entry that we haven't talked about, Matt. And right on cue, little banner advert. Let's take it to the stars.
Yes, the stars.
Let's go, as they say, Matt. to the moon. Tell you one thing, Activision Blizzard stock ain't going to the moon right now.
Oh, but all its players are.
So for only $32.25, you can get the Stargazers pack, which gives you that. It gives you Argy, the charity mount. Of course, charity mount that has expired its charitable donation period. And of course,
Celestial Steed.
that horse, that flying horse. Yeah, so you get those for $32. And hey, it's the sort of thing. I think the two of these not going to be making that much money these days. No. But this is a pretty good way to be like, hey, everyone, $12. It's a or $12, 25 over. It's a deal. Get some more purchases. So they're doing all of that. Now there's a few things we can talk about as we jump on, from this one actually, because I think it is important to do. One of the things that pisses me off about this. That, they broke my trust years ago. I haven't forgiven them for it, and they keep on doing it. And I sort of touched on this one, but I just want to be a bit more clear about it. And also, this is highly important because a new bit of information has entered this story, everyone. So let's go to the mounts. I wonder how much accidental advertising have we just done for them. But I want to go to the mounts, okay? And I'm going to call a few of them out.
Send them the bill, sure.
That's it, yeah. I mean, hey, Blizz, cut me in this shit. No. So we're going to get the Sapphire Skyblazer. We're going to get the Vulpine Familiar. What else are we going to get?
Silverian Dreamer.
The Silverian Dreamer, which we're going to get the Fey Dragon.
Fey Dragon. The Iron Sky Reaver, technically.
The Silverian Dreamer. Where's the Sky Reaver?
There. Up, left.
Oh,
there you go.
Got the Sky Reaver. That should indeed be most of them, I think.
I think the Sunworm Furline might technically also count, maybe, but I don't know.
It may count. That expansion hasn't came out yet, Matt.
Yep.
That's kind of the point. But I think this is extremely important because it's actually happened with the Sapphire Skyblazer now. Okay, so the Sapphire Skyblazer essentially is in patch 9.2. And it's in patch 9.2 in an extremely similar way to how the Silverian Dreamer is in patch 9.0. And that in itself is kind of interesting because the Sapphire Skyblazer, but a bit different, is an earnable mount in patch 9.2, meaning that I think for the first time you can basically get a recolor of a store mount in-game. Yeah. It ain't as fancy. Yeah. It ain't as fancy, but something that can happen. So the Silverian Dreamer is here. This came out, I forget what patch, but it did come out in the Battle for Azeroth expansion, didn't it? Now,
I believe so.
Silverian Dreamer. So the thing about the Silverian Dreamer is if I go Silverian Dreamer Ardenweald, you will actually see it's a Veilwing.
Yes.
Now, there's going to be, this is just something to talk about the marketing copy with you, because I think we should do that. So you can see here, this store mount is just a native dragon to Ardenweald.
Yeah.
Now, of course, imagine if in World of Warcraft Classic, this doesn't make any sense because flying didn't exist in vanilla, but imagine if you were able to purchase on the store a Netherwing Drake in Classic. Yeah. And then you find out there's a place called Netherwing in the next bloody expansion. Well, that very literally has happened here. So with these Veilwings, we could have had a wrap surrounding, we could have had all of those things, all of that great gameplay that we experienced with past reputations like Cloud Serpent, but no. Now what's funny is that a Veilwing, everyone, they are Feather Dragon King, native to Ardenweald. Now that's very interesting because actually when I first learned about one of these, I was told that an artist in the magical city of Dalaran fell asleep with her brush and dreamed a painting of a beautiful feather dragon. Her artwork leapt from the page, and this was sleeping gently beside her. That's very interesting, considering that she accidentally summoned it from Ardenweald, isn't it? Interesting marketing copy, and an example of you being sold content from the next World of Warcraft expansion in the previous World of Warcraft expansion in a way that denies you content because you can't get a Veilwing mount in World of Warcraft without the store. Even though in past expansions, in the before milking everything era, you would have, absolutely. There is no clearer example than, of course, the one that I always go to, the Enchanted Fey Dragon. So the Enchanted Fey Dragon is, of course, the taxi mount that you'll have in Shadowmoon Valley and Warlords of Draenor. And if you go Fey Dragon... Sorry, not that. Is it the Dracorium? Yeah, the Dracorium. Here we go. Oh, there's a video from Noble from back in the day. Him going to visit the Dracorium. It's in this video anyway. Is that the Dracorium? Yeah, there it is. So this is actually where they're bred. Now again, if this was Mists of Pandaria, this would have been a reputation like Order of the Cloud Serpent. Instead, they did not make that content. They did not let you have one of these mounts. They put it on the in-game store instead. So it happened with the Fey Dragon. It happened with the Dreamer. It kind of happened with the Iron Sky Reaver. There's other Rylax you can get in the game, but same thing pretty much happened. Now, let's take a look at the Vulpine Familiar. I mean, sort of, if you sort of compare him to Mr. Silvarian Dreamer,
Yeah, it's very similar, of course.
you know, they're very similar. Similar color palette. You can see them getting along. So you just kind of think, feels a little bit iffy. Now, let's bring it to the modern day, everyone. Let's bring it to the modern day. And that's where we need the Sapphire Skyblazer. And I'm going to sort of go a little bit early. Now, how can I find this? Actually, Dakor gave us a table of contents. Just the way that this is actually a mount in the new patch. They ripped.
It's right there.
What?
But just scroll down a little bit.
Oh.
Yep.
There we go. Mr. Tej is a speedy boy.
That was me.
Oh, that was you. Damn.
Yep, it's
well
the mod-adapted Raptora, it's called.
Yeah, now, everyone, this is, it's the same rig. When you actually see them, Wowhead, have, like, the, their sort of lineup. They are a bit different, right? Like, if I sort of zoom in there, you can see that there is, slight difference in the model. But basically, it's like the model is essentially the same.
Yeah.
The skeletons, all that stuff. This is the closest it's ever been to the store mount being a fancy recolor of an in-game obtainable mount. But here's the thing, everyone. This was sold to you before you knew that patch 9.2 existed. Now, this means that there's some people who probably bought or, did whatever to get this, whether they bought it or got it in the sub, who thought they were getting a cool, unique thing that wasn't going to be in-game otherwise. Now, there's versions of it that are in-game.
Yeah, they're getting a unique thing, but the uniqueness is toned down substantially because you can get the same, I think it's like technically going to be like a slightly prototypal version, but then colored for the mod because it's mod adapted, etc.
Yeah. So that's basically what's going on.
Yep.
This is content that they made for patch 9.2. They pretty much repurposed it to sell it to you on the store.
Yep. And if you want a proper comparison, the images in Notion now there.
Oh, fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, highly, highly similar business. So look, that's just kind of what's going on. And that Silvarian Dreamer, like that felt like a sort of big, cool, unique thing. What did we get in game? Well, we got a sort of a redo of a Cloud Serpent, which is fine. I like the mount, but I mean, it's very hard to look at all of this and say that the monetization is, it's very hard to say it's not getting in the way of in-game content. And look, it could be the sort of thing where they just don't have the development time and resources to actually create those old school reps anymore for whatever reason, because they've evidently stopped doing it since Warlords of Draenor. But it does feel iffy, doesn't it, everyone? It does feel iffy.
Yeah, well, I see someone here saying, I don't understand. You're complaining that we can't get store mounts in game. Now you're complaining that we can get a similar one in game. It's about the order and how it feels to players. Mm-hmm. Because if you're selling something and then making it available in game later, then that will just betray people who bought it. Whereas if especially when that bucks the trend of it not being available in game, which is sort of what we've seen with the Fey Dragon, we've seen with the Skyblazer until now, of course.
Us pointing out a flaw is not necessarily us being 100% like advocating for a thing.
Yeah, of course.
This is basically saying they're screwing over the non-paying players in this way, and they're also screwing over the paying players in that way.
Yeah, so like
they're not mutually exclusive things.
Yeah, so I mean, if we were to have store mounts, then they could have done this a better way if we knew the Raptora was coming up or was made available, and then they're like, hey, here's the mount that you can get in game. But also, here's the cooler version on the store. I would still have an issue with that because the cooler version on the store is just kind of devaluing stuff a little bit. But that would be substantially more acceptable than the way they currently do it now.
And then, I go up to, is it Jet's tweet of, you then will have this issue. Oh, so you're saying that I get the sort of basic stuff in game to earn, but I have to earn with a good old swipe of the credit card?
Yeah.
And I know people are going to say, oh, transfer into BNet balance. We've been over that one many times before.
Yeah, I mean, for players, it's like I think a more fundamental thing of, so my money is worth more than my time and effort. okay, well then why am I playing your fucking game? Why am I not just going to work instead?
It's like, literally it is.
Yeah.
But if you make it feel that way, that's a big loss.
Yeah.
It's a big loss. So this is a sort of thing where basically the business side, marching on blindly has, once again, completely betrayed all the hard work of the World of Warcraft development team and, indeed for some of the players as well. This is pretty much the worst timing you could imagine for PR, given the reasons why Activision Blizzard are in the news. And essentially it just does show that big, slow corporate sludge is not conducive to good results for just about anyone involved. Because right now, the players are losing, the staff are losing, and the investors are losing. So that seems great.
Who's winning?
Yeah, right. So to move on then, this is also something that could be a really massive loss for Activision Blizzard if a whole bunch of rumors end up aligning, and maybe they will, maybe they won't.
And also, it does, as it was pointed out in chat, some of this source code does actually show, for some reason, the Facebook CDN, Content Delivery Network. So it could just be a really shitty fake, or whoever's making the website for Microsoft is very silly and very strange. But yeah,
I couldn't say exactly.
Yeah.
This is what I'll say is the rumor that's going on. Supposedly, here we go, Xbox.com, ENUS games, all games, category equals upcoming, World of Warcraft Complete Edition. Complete?
yeah,
So, here's the thing. World of Warcraft has way better controller support, kind of in the back end now. You'll still want to, I think, am I right in saying that means you don't need to use WoW Mapper anymore? You just need to plug your controller in and use console port.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You can actually bind, I don't know if it's direct input or X input or both, but you can just bind those buttons too. So you could, if you, for some reason, like with no add-ons, wanted to have some controller buttons for your game, you could literally go in and bind an analog stick to WASD. You could go do that with no extra effort. It wouldn't work extremely well, but it would work. Yeah,
and look, here's what I can say. Definitely use the console port add-on. FF14 on console is actually a really good experience. It's surprising how well it works. If you use the incredible add-on console port along with this stuff, World of Warcraft actually works really well on the console. You could even argue that because World of Warcraft, I think, generally has a lower button count or can have a lower button count than FF. Like, WoW can really fit quite... Look, it might seem unintuitive to you, but I've tried it. It fits surprisingly well on a gamepad. So World of Warcraft would work on a console. It could be a way for Blizzard to expand out World of Warcraft. I mean, hey, if you could dump all the money in the universe and get World of Warcraft on Game Pass, it would be a lot more people would find the game, right? That's totally the case. Now, would they do that? I mean, maybe not. But look, it's here in the PC market. Have they tapped out some of that market? I mean, they'd only stand to gain if they brought it over, over to the Xbox.
Yeah, that's where we get into the, that's where you think about the fun fact of allegedly PlayStation, examining the relationship with Activision Blizzard, and Xbox openly saying that they're examining the relationship with them. So you have to wonder if this was in any capacity true, which I don't believe it is, but it's worth sort of thinking about and talking about, because they're definitely talking about it after how well Diablo 3 did on console. I don't know if Diablo 2 has done well on console, especially because it has no features, but, Well,
it made all the money in the universe, it seemed.
Yeah, so that's the kind of thing where, this is where I think shareholders should maybe looking and going, wait, outside of the Activision thing, of course, because obviously Call of Duty does extremely well on those platforms, but if you're like, well, if our deal to get World of Warcraft on Game Pass or on the Xbox app, even if it's just linked to BNet Launcher, if that's in jeopardy because of our PR and our appearance and what the industry thinks about us, shit, that's literally our bottom line being affected by all of this in a very direct and clear way. Yeah. And I'll have to rethink it.
It would be crazy if, Phil Spencer re-looking at something as basically saying, get rid of Bobby and you can keep this. Or, we have to delay this and you're getting rid of Bobby. I mean, who the hell knows? I
mean, because the rumor that was attached to this was the Game Awards.
Yeah.
That was the rumor, so that is very soon. I can't remember how soon. It's like maybe 2 or 3 weeks away, and this won't have blown over by then. So if this is something, they'd have 3 weeks to actually make a move then.
Wild.
Yep.
So there's that going on, or maybe not going on. Who really knows? And amid all of this, we of course have the thing that is a lot more fun to talk about, and that is the upcoming content for World of Warcraft in Steve Januza's Eternals. The latest thing coming out from Blizzard.
Yeah, no, I still haven't watched the movie, but from a couple of people I've heard, this is a very, very, an actually entirely fair thing to say about the World of Warcraft and the Eternals.
I have absolutely no idea. But hey, I opened the doc and here it was, and I guess it's a funny. So there we go. There's our funny. We've now all ingested our funny, digested our funny, and let's have a look. So, proper PTR process, unlikely to go live until after Thanksgiving. So yeah, they're preparing Eternity's End for PTR, but of course they are going to be off next week, so the PTR is going to be after next week, which means time walking time and walker time, so that'll be fun. As a part of this data mining, we have learned a good deal more about this patch. Certainly a few interesting items. Certainly a few interesting ones. So, our big raid is the Sepulchre of the First Ones. We know what our bosses are. We have Solitary Guardian. This Eternal Guardian lies in wait while its subsystems keep vigil over the entrance to the Sepulchre of the First Ones. We then have
Dosen? Doshagni.
Doshagni. Maybe it's not that. The Fallen Oracle. So, there you go. Oracle of some sort. We have Artificer Zymox again. I mean, hey, Zymox. That was a fun fight. Now, we also have Anima 2. Super Anima. Inferia.
Ephemera.
Ephemera, yes.
You know,
So
ephemeral something.
Whoops, I'm stupid. So yes, Zymox and his most loyal associates caught wind of the Forerunner's relic, an ancient progenitor artifact said to be the key to weaponizing Ephemera. I love keys. To defeat Azeroth's heroes this time, Zymox must unlock the power of the Forerunner relic during the encounter to turn the deal in his favor. Hey, look, Zymox, it was fun last time, probably fun this time. Prototype Pantheon. That's it, you know, the 3D printer did a good job, but it kind of fucked up halfway through, and we have a weird half of a Winter Queen. We'll get to that. The images are down below. There's certainly some thoughts there. We've got Skolex, the insatiable Ravener. Just ravening about.
Just raven.
We've got
raven everywhere.
Halondrus, the Reclaimer, who's been traversing the caverns of the Sepulchre, fulfilling the sacred purpose of reclaiming Ephemera and returning it to the Great Cycle. So I guess we have Ephemera as Super Anima, and then Anima's... Yeah, whatever. We've got Livium, the Principal Architect. With great care, Livium weaves Ephemera into being in accordance with the hallowed will of the First Ones, because... You know, you need at least 17 new concepts per patch. Yeah. Then, of course, we have Anduin Rain. I think we know who that is. We've got the Lords of Dread, who's, you know, Mal'Ganis and his buddies. We've got Rygalon, which I assume is some sort of probably big, interesting First Ones person.
Is that not our Constellar?
Oh, that's the Constellar. Good point. Yeah. So, hey, fighting a Constellar as a penultimate boss. That's pretty cool. And then we got Zoval at the end. Now, as for Dakor's little call-out box... I feel like it's worth engaging with.
Absolutely.
It's the sort of thing where I think if you were to show this to the WoW team, they'd be like, hey, but we've been doing it like this for years and you're not angry.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth engaging with that because they're just continuing on as normal, so I don't think it's super fair to mega bash them. It's more just, you know, hey, what if? And also it's very important to note that who knows? We could know most of these characters after the initial storyline. In the same way with, you know, Big Monkey Fella in, I've forgotten his name, in Dazara Lore.
Yeah.
Like, that was actually really...
That was great.
That was great. You got him in the Covenant campaign, or not the Battle War campaign of
the
fighting.
The Battle War campaign, yes.
Yes, the Battle War campaign.
The fighty campaign, the fighty. Yeah.
That's it, the skiving about with Shaw campaign. Yeah. But that was a nice little set of quests. And then he's a boss in the raid, and you feel like, oh, that's actually a little tragic story of mankind manipulating with nature and being bastards. It was nice. I really liked it. So they could do it with these characters. But as he says, yes, bosses I most certainly know the name and background of, having been built up all the way through the expansion, this epic culmination of the Warcraft saga TM. Who could forget the likes of Skolex and Lihivium? Damn, those guys are rascals.
Lehuvim.
Big Hoover. So, that's Dakor's point. And I'm going to say, during Legion, would we have said this about your man, the Finder of the Souls in Antorus, or Goroth? No, we'd be just like, oh, it's Goroth, it's the first boss. You know, whatever, who gives a shit? I think what's maybe more happened here is maybe other games in the market and stuff are just making people think a bit more about story and therefore be a little bit more critical. I think this is par for the course for World of Warcraft, so I don't really think I'd flag it up as a specific concern. I would more say to Blizz, if they could find a way of, rather than being like 9.0, big jump 9.1, big jump 9.2, they could probably take their story a bit slower and build up that enemy cast of characters a bit more.
I mean, I think it's also because people are just kind of aware that things are happening far too fast. Like this, like Ephemera, they're clearly planning something with Ephemera in some capacity. Likely a minor thing, but they're introducing it as a new concept. And as as Val the Jane said, I still love the comment from the announcement video. Oh boy, Zereth Mortis! I've wanted to go there ever since 30 minutes ago when I found out it existed. So it's like that's the same thing carrying through here. Where they're like, here, please care about this. We're like, you haven't given us a reason to care about any of these things, any of these places, any of these people. So you need to. It would be better overall if you could start doing that. Not to say it's like, oh well. Well, I guess I just sort of disagree with this as part of the course, so we should sort of maybe not criticize it. If people are kind of going that way.
That's true. I suppose I'm just trying to like prioritize the, now I think it's just what you were saying there. I think it's, oh, what's this? Interesting, a little dot just fell from me.
A dot?
Yeah, like a little circle.
Nice.
Where'd that come from? Wow. Just circles.
It's falling apart.
There we go. So a wee speck of anima.
Yeah.
It came off.
Ephemera maybe.
Yeah. No, it's that thing. I think they tried to go so fast.
Yeah.
And really sort of jump to all this, and I think they basically decided to bootstrap everyone caring about the jailer by retroactively being like, oh yeah, he was pulling that string and this string and that string and this thread. And I think people are like, well, okay, that's a factoid, but I don't feel it. And that's maybe why we're having that, because actually Zereth Mortis was talked about at the end of patch 9.1. It just seems that people who don't read Wowhead or watch our videos basically just don't know. But it was there. It's just, it's a little bit of dialogue and it's dropping a little hint, but it's not a like, this is a thing people will feel. I mean, alternatively, like whenever Illidan does his business with the Sargerite Keystone, and it's like, it's so obvious we're going to Argus now. That was a very cool thing of like, oh, fuck, there it is.
Yeah.
And that hasn't happened to Zereth Mortis. So I actually, I think, if they had have done something such at the very end of this raid, you felt Zereth Mortis, you felt it. Yeah. Something big, cool, something visual happened, something sonic happened.
Yeah, like
you felt it with your senses. Yeah. Then I think we wouldn't have had those comments, and it probably would have worked out a bit better.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I guess the problem largely is. They were likely thinking about Zereth Mortis and trying to put the final things in a little bit, because that was almost 6 months ago now. Or no, it was about 6 months ago where that build shipped. So they likely didn't really know what Zereth Mortis fully was, conceptually. So they couldn't do something really cool like have us follow Zoval through the portal and see what it is. And then, something happened on the other side of the portal and us go, oh, fuck, shit, we need to get out of here, regroup, come back later. But they were instead going, here's Sylvanas shooting an arrow at him. Which is obviously important to their plot and to their lore, of course. But it's like, if they had a little bit more, we would have maybe been able to see that. And then that would have been okay. We're like, oh, okay, we now spend time wondering about this place versus, please care about our product.
Look, if the end of that raid was a 5 or 6 minute long cinematic that was followed up by, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, of epilogue content, things would be very different right now.
Of course.
So yeah, then Ephemera, it's just that sort of thing. I guess Ephemera is to Zereth Mortis and the engine room of the Shadowlands, as Anima is to the Shadowlands themselves, so that's something that's a little bit weird. Now, to talk about the more genuinely just cool, we do have the new raid. And the new raid, as always, it does look pretty gorgeous. Yep. It just looks cool. I like having all of this, the ancient tech, but it's all kind of like overgrown and everything. I think it looks really nice. I think this is a cool image. this reminds me almost, I mean, of so many things, but...
iRobot.
Well, did you ever play Alien Isolation?
No.
Whenever you're fighting the Weyland-Yutani, like, robots, and they just have those, like, red eyes, and they're creepy and spooky, I think there's a level of spook that, I kind of like in this. And I actually think that overall they're... Like, the takeaway with this is going to be Zoval, he was right, total dickhead, though.
Yeah.
Because all this shit seems spooky and fucked.
Yeah, they just need to actually take the time to convince us of that and have us empathize with them by showing this off. But I don't know if they'll have time to do this. I mean, obviously doing it by going, hey, this is all like uncanny creation stuff. That'll maybe put a little bit of the heebie-jeebies in us, maybe. But as to whether they'll follow through with that versus trying to make it seem cool and grandiose and epic, it's hard to say, but they're definitely getting what they want to across.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Like, so this seemingly here is part of the Endless Foundry, which is the intermission stage during the prototype Pantheon encounter, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Looking pretty cool. I mean, bloody hell.
Yeah, no, even looking
what a big, rich scene.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
even looking at the map for it, which I don't know if the map is here, but I was looking at the map and I was like, this is really well put together. Like, I can see all the different, like...
Next image is the big one.
Yeah, what was I going to say? It was the... like, there's some parts that are very technical, very mathematical. There's lots of, like, what almost is reminiscent of, like, a PCB. Very technological. There's a lot of little hexagons. There's a lot of little, like, what look like, fucking lines on a PCB. But then you go to another part, and it's all, like, sigils and magic stuff. I shouldn't have used the word sigils. But, it's all magic circles, so it looks very much like ancient and mythological magic stuff that you would find in, like, an occultist book. And I see that they've got all these different things going on. It's great, but...
So... skipped ahead there.
Yep.
Someone said like Ulduar palette swap. I wouldn't say that. I think it's really cool. I do think there's a little bit to what you're saying. We have had a lot of Titan-y ruins. Yeah. And I think the big question here is, how do the Titans actually connect to these first ones? Because we understand how the Pantheon of Death do. They came from the 3D printer. But we don't know about the Titans. Because if the Titans kind of came as world souls, then I suppose all this ephemera and anima and all of that stuff, is that actually what birthed the Titans themselves into existence? Because there's a Titan, everyone. That's her. That's Azeroth.
Is it?
I think that's Azeroth. Well, Azeroth is in this. There is an Azeroth globe in the raid and an Azeroth segment. Well, hang on. See, that kind of looks like a continent. There. But the Azeroth, I mean, it is in this raid. Mm-hmm. There's a new Arbiter business. No, the Azeroth is in this raid. Maybe we'll talk about it a bit more lore-wise. I imagine we have it.
There's a bit on...
TJ's section. We'll do it then. But hey, so, teaser for the next bit of the stream. Stay tuned.
Yep.
Right, new Arbiter. Spoilers.
Spoilers. Definitely spoilers. Just by virtue of that image, but anyway.
Spoilers. Yep. So new NPC IDs and VA sound files have been data mined from the PTR client for both Clea and Pelagos, revealing who the next Arbiter will be.
Pelagos.
It's Pelagos, Arbiter Pelagos. So Clea, what do you mean? No, but your soul. You do not have to do this. I do not want to let you go.
Voice actor did a good job of that. Not being sarcastic.
You've listened? Oh, I haven't listened to it yet.
Yeah, no, like...
Oh, okay. I thought you were taking the piss out of my read.
Oh, no. Actually, like, this was voice lines that I believe it was Mr. GM was the first one to find them. But it was, threw them up on Twitter and I was like, I see that's nicely done.
Yeah.
Good enough. But then I thought about what it meant and went, fuck. But anyway.
Yep, so Pelagos, sorry I couldn't become an acolyte. Mawwalker, my friend, without you I may never have found a path.
Mawwalker, my friend, I haven't learned your name.
Yes, what a funny joke, co-host.
Yep.
But it's just that here's a fucky about this. And again, this just shows that the narrative design of this expansion is so fucked. My character barely knows who Pelagos is. I've spent barely any time with Pelagos. I'm not a Kyrian. This is a major emotional beat of the Shadowlands expansion, and to 1/4 of the players, it's going to work. And for everyone else, we haven't seen Pelagos' character arc.
Yeah.
And so from my experience of seeing Pelagos, he's going to go from, I doubt myself. I am the Arbiter!
Fuck, you're
Which is, I'm not saying that this with Pelagos is a bad story. I'm saying that the telling of it is not going to land with all of the players.
Yep.
I mean, that's that, right? And I mean, I don't want to be sort of here raining in their parade, but part of the narrative design is how players experience the narrative, the telling of the narrative, and I mean, I don't know, man. Swap to Kyrian right now and do the campaign, and you'll be able to understand Pelagos, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, actually, one thing on that, actually, right? So now you could use the argument that you can swap your Covenant freely, provided you're at 80 renown, which I hope a lot of players are. I definitely am, haha. But you can swap your Covenant freely, so you can go and engage with the Kyrian story. You can go and learn about Pelagos before this happens. Obviously, you shouldn't know this before it goes in, so you wouldn't know to do that, of course. But also, what would have happened if we didn't give all the feedback that Covenants needed to be freely swappable, and then people, in order to experience the whole thing, which leads to an important narrative beat and understanding it fully, was actually locked behind a massive downturn, or if they seemingly had their way.
Meaningful.
Yeah, it would have been a meaningful narrative decision that they made at the start of the expansion, which means they don't understand this one. I wonder if that fits into their Shadowlands was designed as 3 acts and everything was considered narratively designed the whole way. Anyway,
oops.
I also disagree that this is a good story. I think it is bad, but what I'm going to say is, I don't really mind Pelagos as a character, right?
It's their Bran Stark in the Iron Throne moment.
Yeah, Pelagos, sure, fine, decent enough character. Actually, it was a character, which is more than a lot of Covenants got. So I thought Pelagos' arc was relatively okay. It was done a bit hasty because it just sort of was
it'd be better than Arbiter Moonberry,
Of course, yeah.
Who the hell's she?
Of course, yeah, but they're just making a new Arbiter. I'm sure a decent few of you have. If you've been paying attention to the storyline of the Shadowlands and how the Kyrian have evolved throughout it all, they've taken on a completely different form. They've taken on a new sort of philosophy. They're not the same Kyrian that came in the first time. After dealing with all the Uther stuff, they went, maybe we should reflect on how we do things around here. Maybe we shouldn't be just so strictly duty-bound. Maybe we should consider the outcome. And the whole point of the Arbiter, then, is to have the purpose or this solitary duty decide everything, decide where everyone goes. So the part of this that would have actually worked, and everyone, and I speaking for everyone, of course, as I do.
Oh yeah, that's it. Man of the people.
Would have enjoyed it substantially more. I thought it would have actually a clever bit of thing that sort of puts meaning behind the Kyrian's choice, is if the Kyrian had decided to take on the role of the Arbiter themselves as a collective, and then, maybe the Pantheon of Death overall could have some oversight into it now that they're all united. They could, meet for brunch every Tuesday and talk about how it's going. But the Kyrian would, because they're going and picking up the fucking souls anyway, as they do, they bring it to the Arbiter. Why do they not bring it to a Kyrian council to decide where it goes? Because the Arbiter's clearly, the purpose failed Zoval.
Well, if the Kyrians do that, then how come there's just an endless torrent of souls dropping into the Shadowlands? Even though we all know the Machinery of Death's broke.
Yeah, but that's what the Kyrians do. The Kyrians pick up every soul. They decide if the soul's death is actually a valid death or not, pick it up and bring it back. So why do they not make the decision when they're there?
Yeah.
Why do they not bring the soul back to the council and go, well, while we're here deciding if it should die or not, we should figure out which afterlife it goes. And we can be wrong. There can be oversight. We can make changes. We can have this system that adapts over time and evolves and learns, as opposed to this static fucking shit that proved false. And the whole point of the Shadowlands Covenant story was the way things wasn't good enough and wasn't going to work.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. And there's another point just for Pelagos as a character. One of the things about Pelagos is it's really weird because it's also in the Kyrian story where you're supposed to purge who you are, because the whole point of Pelagos is that Pelagos had a feminine form in life. She was a masculine form in death. So I don't know, it's like a trans allegory or something, because it's not literally, because your character dies and kind of reborn as a new or whatever, but whatever, right? But that's a key part of Pelagos's character. So it's you could have maybe said the Pelagos's whole thing at the start is struggling with struggling with who he is, struggling with doubt, struggling to move forward and all of that. I think he does make some progress in overcoming those doubts. I don't think it's a super satisfying end to this character's journey, given what I think that transition is supposed to represent for the character in the story. I don't think it's a super satisfying thing that it just seems to be to throw your soul into the hole. Because, the Arbiter is a robot.
Yep.
I don't know. I get the feeling here that it's like, I don't know. I just don't think it's a real satisfying end to that character. I think the people who really liked Pelagos for, who Pelagos was, probably not going to be overly thrilled, about this one.
No.
So, odd way to take it. Of course, it needs to, remain to be seen how it's actually done in game, how it's told.
Yeah.
Maybe circumstances will make it, make it a little bit more sense or be more emotionally satisfying.
And even quite literally, if you were to speak to Pelagos, who died and made you Arbiter? It's like, now I can direct the flow of souls to the afterlives or they justly deserve. Like, well, pretty big of you to say you can do that effectively. So I guess all of the doubts are truly gone now as an egotistical maniac.
It also will be quite weird if Pelagos does that and then like Pelagos' soul kind of goes into like a very feminine body. If they're using the same Arbiter, like that would be really weird. So I assume we're making you Arbiter. You know what I mean? I saw some people, I think it was Ian Bates actually, a red shirt guy, of course, who I think there was like some animation reference that made him think that, and tread carefully there, Blizz. Tread carefully. Now, moving on, we have the Zoval encounter in Azeroth's Fate. Just gonna point out here.
Is that some ephemera behind him?
Do you remember that?
Color?
Do you remember shooting, going, ha! And destroying an old god with some of that? Well, yeah. Zoval's just standing in front of it. So... So that's something. That's Azerite, everyone. That's Azerite.
The jailer was Magni all along.
Whoa. There we go. Oh, don't you be king of diamonds is upon you. No. So, but when you actually go into some of Zoval's, and again, we're in spoiler town here, as you all know, the Zoval encounter in Azeroth's Fate.
Yeah.
So, Desolation. Zoval launches a volley of missiles at Azeroth.
Just straight, I don't know.
There we go. He's got those ephemera hypersonics just going to fuck us up.
Yeah, just ICBMs.
Yeah, so decreasing Azeroth's health by up to 20%, but the missiles can be intercepted by each player, inflicting 60 shadow damage, so not much of a problem then.
Well, just the Mawwalker missile interception system online, like.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's that. Apocalypse Bolt inflicts 5% of Azeroth's max health and shadow damage. Defile. Remember that, everyone? Annihilation. So Val unmakes existence, killing everyone except for him.
That's what Argus did.
That's 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 taking your Thanos meter and kind of dragging it over to the 99 point, a lot of nines. So yeah, our phase names, we have Origin of Damnation, Machine of Origination. Hey, I kind of had that in my proposal for this fight. Actually, it's quite funny. While this is all very different, this Zoval fight is in a few ways, very similar to the proposal I came up with, which was more than anything, a bit neat to see, I suppose. Unholy Attunement, and then The Unmaking. Now, we've got to talk about this. Is there any more Azeroth stuff in this doc?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so this is where we are in the Azeroth business. Yep. Right, so Zoval is standing in front of a big thing of Azerite. I believe there's quite a few Azerite references. I think it's Samaya at Keyboard Turn on Twitter, and the other one, I forget the name, who were doing a bunch of the data mining, posting the screenshots. It just seems like there's a bunch of Azerite business going on. At the same time, we see, of course, Zoval standing in front of a big beam of Azerite. There's all this talk about the Great Cycle as well in some of the things. Now, the Great Cycle, wow.
Weaver.
Grimoire of the
Research Life.
Shadowed Lands. Now, let's take a look.
Is this reasonable? Yeah. I will open this, so I'll show this as soon as we're there.
Yeah, I suppose I don't want to click the link and it turns out it's porn and then we're banned.
Yeah.
So
the way to go.
Here's the Great Cycle, right, everyone? With spirit, fire, water, earth, decay, air in the center. Is that... What are you two? What are you and you?
All just loads of planets.
Well, that's Azeroth. I mean, there's the Eastern Kingdoms, right? Like the A is that big bay where,
Yeah.
you know, the wetlands and the Menethil Harbor and etc. are. So Azeroth is at the center of the Great Cycle, and inside Zereth Mortis, from within Zereth Mortis, Zoval is able to directly attack Azeroth.
Yeah.
Now that says to me, you know, this is all. Oh shit! We're in this is a 5-dimension space represented in a 3D and a 2D and Matthew McConaughey's floating around inside in a spacesuit with a little mech, and it's all very confusing. And oh, what's going on? Very confusing. This is all pocket dimensions. This is all cosmic origami that breaks how your mind thinks. But basically, is Zereth Mortis inside Azeroth? Is the Shadowlands inside Azeroth? But not literally inside Azeroth. I mean, in some sort of weird metaphysical sense. You know, is it a plane sneaked within a thing, inside a thing, inside a thing? Because, hey, the Great Cycle, Azeroth's at the center. At the very center of the sepulcher of the first ones, the engine room where the first ones are 3D printing gods, we have a big beam of Azeroth blood power.
Yeah.
Now, this very much says to me that whatever's going on here is very core to Azeroth. Of course, Azeroth has been sort of proposed as this kind of like Omni-Titan, the big Titan, the most powerful of all of the Titans. Does that mean that the Titans really are sort of like offshoots of other... you know, maybe that's not a thread worth following right now. Another curious thing, Azeroth consumed the element of spirit when she was just slurped her up. So that's, you know, there was no spirit, and that's why all the other elements in Azeroth were like thrown out of balance, and why all the elemental wars and stuff went on.
Yep.
So basically, this just means Shadowlands is kind of like the center of the universe in a way, at least from this broker perspective, and that is very much something that is backed up by, you know, what we see here. You know, Zoval comes from the soul of our world, and he does it via Zereth Mortis, not by going to Azeroth.
Yeah.
That shows just something bloody fundamental.
Yep.
I mean, Azeroth is clearly the thing that is basically powering the thing that created the Shadowlands and the big, you know, the big circle that makes afterlives.
Yes.
Yeah. I was going to... Saint Peter, Saint Printer. I need to work something properly out there.
Oh my goodness.
So that's, you know, a bunch of nerdy shit.
Yeah, no, it's weird.
It's all interesting. Little brain teasers. Don't know if the emotional resonance is going to be there for people if they find out that all those cool stories you had was, you know, just sort of sitting on top of the big lump of coal that's fueling the afterlife. The 3D prints gods, but we don't know what it is yet. These are just the early speculations, and I will say it is a riskier way to take it. I mean, anytime a team decides to verge a bit closer to explaining the mystery, I think everyone involved in storytelling knows that, like, you know, you better watch out. That's harder to do than keeping it mysterious.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess without seeing what this actually looks like as a fight, I would say I'm thoroughly disappointed in the presentation of it. Because obviously, I don't think we know when these attacks come in. Whether they're in Phase 3 or in Phase 2 or in Phase 1 or whatever. Sorry, but intermission or Phase 3. I imagine Phase 3. So we don't know what that looks like because this isn't a complete build. But, you know, could be a massive manifestation of Azeroth that comes to help us. And he's trying to, you know, hit it literally as opposed to hitting this non-corporeal soul of sorts. There's also a chance that, you know, he's shooting stuff at the planet and we're blocking it. That would be weird because, you know, you'd have to do he lands one and then we go back and say, nope, that didn't just wipe out a city. No, sir, let's not think about it. But it's the thing where this stuff is going to be so metaphysical. I just don't know if it's going to resonate at all. And I mean literally in terms of presentation, not even in terms of concept. I mean in terms of how does that thing there on screen feel like it's the jailer about to destroy Azeroth? How does it feel that way? It's a kind of thing where, you know, Sargeras hitting Azeroth was fucking terrifying because he was big and had big sword.
Yeah.
That is at least visibly, like, you can see that and go, oh, I understand and feel what's happening.
And the last two expansion finales have been strange machines we don't really understand.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a different narrative direction to really post Legion. Just a bit different.
Yeah, and let's not think about how they could do it even more interesting
Oh.
and even weirder.
Oh dear, Matt has thoughts.
So I don't know, not just thoughts. I have no source for this because Dakor said he saw someone talk about it and I didn't ask him for the source. I went, oh, that would be interesting, and didn't think about it any further. But he was saying there was some file change around an N'Zoth tentacle. And I was thinking, well, if we're seeing the source of all creation here, will we have a redo of the Gahoon situation where we're loafing around the sepulchre, we're looking around the Forge of Afterlives and stuff, Zaval's 3D printing himself some new Eternal ones, his new friends. Is there a chance we'll spot hints around those little tentacles? Will we see that the first ones created the old gods, or we're creating something like the old gods? And then will this all be a ploy to have N'Zoth be hidden in the machine of origination? Because that's how we killed him, but we didn't kill him, did we? Maybe, who knows? So that's a big thing. It's a big thing where they're probably going to start hinting old god stuff back to try and bring us back down. And it was N'Zoth the whole time. It was the N'Zoth jailer N'Zoth.
I'm down. No, tentacle me up. I'm down. I'm down.
Dear.
If we can just say that this was all a very, very smart plan by N'Zoth, and actually N'Zoth was fiddling the jailer all along, maybe that's just the way we could put this all to bed.
Yeah.
And at least have it still be rooted in a classic sort of Azerothian villain.
Dakor said it was a Yogg Saron tentacle.
Oh.
So that's at least more interesting.
That is more interesting.
God of Death, first ones, Shadowlands, making afterlives. I'm tired. My brain's tired.
So the next thing then. Kingsmorn Hungers.
Cool. Cool reference, bro.
Ooh, what could that mean? Right then. Anduin's abilities, Kingsmorn Hungers, which of course references the line Frostmourne Hungers. During the intermission, Remnant of a Fallen King. Remorseless Winter, Soul Reaper, Army of the Dead. Stage 1, Kingsmorn Hungers. Intermission, Remnant of the Fallen King. Stage 2, Grim Reflections, March of the Dead, A Moment of Clarity. What's going on? What's going on here? Is Arthas inside the sword?
Yes.
Indeed.
I would say that from the get-go.
We've pretty much been thinking that from the beginning, so or is the man going to come back? I would say, given how the story's been so far, don't touch him.
Please no.
Please no. Please no. Given what you've done to Ner'zhul, and what you've done to Kel'Thuzad, I don't want you guys touching any more Warcraft 3. Enough. Enough is enough.
Yeah, close the book, please.
Please.
Close the book, write a new one.
Yep, because, that's the end of Ner'zhul, probably.
I hope so.
That's probably the end of Kel'Thuzad forever. And, that's two great characters. Totally binned.
Just
Binned
fagged,
and
yeah.
destroyed.
Yeah, it's a shame that they didn't get, because obviously it was taken into the developer's own hands to do the Garrosh thing. It's a shame they didn't have time to do it for all of the characters that we liked in this raid. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why this raid, the Sepulchre, the first ones, doesn't have a bunch of characters we recognize, because then we'd just complain about that as well, because they don't have enough time to do raid bosses
What's
justice.
this?
Oh dear.
So here's Dakor's little icon, and he has just typed in just in.
Yeah. Is this what I think it is? It is, yep. I didn't know we were going to talk about that, but...
Okay, it turns out that they are not releasing a new class of World of Warcraft called the Grand Cyclops.
Yep.
Okay, so here's basically the deal, everyone. This was somewhat pointed out. I don't know if it was T&E or the first, but it was vanity around the place anyway. So, something about certain group of people who do indeed like to don the white robes with the pointy hats.
Some might call them generally unreasonable people.
Yeah, I do believe so. I feel like if we say their name, we will get the old squish, the old squish from YouTube. But I think you might be able to work out what they're talking about there.
Yep.
So we got that going on.
But
I agree. We hear you and agree. This was an oversight where we hadn't fully reviewed this set from every angle before putting in the initial test build. I mean,
fair enough. Like,
It's pretty obvious. We've already begun work to adjust the set, and you'll see other changes in a forthcoming build. There you go. Look, I don't think... I mean, I saw it and I thought, oh, well, that's an unfortunate thing. They clearly didn't intend it because... Obviously.
Obviously.
That's why I don't think people were really angry at this.
No, it was just...
I think you're just like, hey, you might want to watch out there. People could take that the wrong way.
Yeah, and then some people did. I think some of the language was not to say it was intentional, but that letting it happen as an oversight was deeply disrespectful because they should know better and all that sort of stuff. And then I was like, so the agreed and went, yep, maybe we shouldn't have that. That's a bit... Sort of agree with you.
So there you go. I appreciate Darkro's ability to see exactly where we are in the dock and then slip this in such that we'll see it. Yep. Very powerful. So let's talk about 3D printing then.
Yep.
So mad. Actually, first let's talk about Sylvanas.
Oh yeah, she's got to be scar on her neck or on her nip.
Now,
this
is the confusing thing.
Yeah.
I'll see if and also a video by of course Laced, who
some boy.
Some boy. He's actually responsible for a lot of the very sexy shots in the World of Warcraft videos he published recently.
Yep. Like the I believe all or most of the really cool stuff with I forgot his name, Sargeras and Zoval in the latest video. I remember watching that one. Damn, that's
17 people watched that video. See, it makes me really sad. Like, we do a video on something we really care about is cool, like Sargeras, and it's like I think because 9.2 was so, woo, cosmic, I think it sealed the deal for a lot of people for a while. I think they just... What a lot of people are going to need to see is a grounded, big, classic Warcraft, big cinematic, and an expansion that totally delivers on that before they care again. If you look at Sylvanas, she has this going on here.
Yeah, she... I believe Taliesin pointed out that she...
Soul.
Yeah, whenever that returned, she glowed a little bit there and grasped it in the cinematic, but it was like really subtle.
So that's where the soul goes. So yeah, there's Sylvanas. But to go on to the thing that has people interested.
Interested, yes. Fantastic visual work. Looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it reminds me of Westworld. The bit where you see like prototype Dolores. Which, so visuals and that stuff, all cool. All cool. Kind of reminds me of the Forerunners at the light, right? The light shotgun in Halo. It was either Halo 4 or 5. Whenever it would kill people, they'd kind of like dissolve into little blocks of light. Yeah. It looks like that.
Yeah, little voxely stuff.
So here he is.
Big Denny.
Big D himself.
Bit more...
but not really. Proto D.
Yeah, it's interesting how light they glow.
Yeah, so there's Nathrius. There's been talk about that. There's a few things that look almost Naru-like.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yep.
Here's the Winter Queen, of course, being of nature.
Looking well, except for the lines in her head. But
so, yeah, man, here she is. She's
spinning around.
She's just came out of the printer,
Not really done around the midriff, but sure.
Yeah, just a ball, big energy ball. As always, the artists do great work. Got the Archon, of course, too. Got her there. We have got the Primus, who was, sort of born a big, powerful dude, I suppose.
Yeah,
and also
imagine being born old.
Runes.
Yep.
So those ain't really his. They're just sort of a part of his design.
They came pre-installed.
And we got the Protobot model as well. If you want, honestly, a little bit of horror-y spook.
Yeah,
it's a cool model.
Yeah, it's like, so you think, oh, well, how is that horror-y? How is that spooky?
Just born unhappy.
Yeah, no, but
poor bastard.
Imagine one of these motherfuckers not saying a word, walking slowly while you hear robotic sound effects and like the Automa's little musical notes, just like little discordant versions of those one. Fucking creepy, like. But
yeah, so look, the thing here. It's like you can see how this technically is a neat idea. Because just like, where does a god come from if it's not the first layer of god? And, I suppose the more earthy version of it is two of the older gods banged and then their kids turned out to be the new gods. So this is more that this pantheon was created. Now, this is the sort of thing where... why did all of these characters blindly follow the purpose even though it clearly wasn't working? Because they were robots with programming? And this is the sort of question that people then wonder. Now, you'd also say, you look at a character like Odin. Well, how much of him is programming? How much of him is... It's Odin. He makes decisions. He's a dude. And we just don't really super know that. Yeah, and I suppose let's just throw some of it into strife. It raises a few more questions.
Yeah, I feel very strongly about this.
You do feel very strongly about this.
especially when you look at how the Eternal ones acted. There was basically like the whole point, like I'm talking about, change and them deciding not to use the Arbiter would be a great idea for them to go, okay, we'll shift things up because we've learned what we do is prone to failure. What we do doesn't work. This is the case where these people, especially with the Primus, he was born old. Like, he's born old, born with those runes. It removes any sense of character from any of these if they were born that way. Obviously, if they're created fairly old and then had experiences to show for it, that's okay. But as far as we understand, these because these are prototypes, obviously the Dungeon Journal says these are made by the progenitors for the jailer, but they're also called prototypes. And also in an interview it was said there was like there'd be 0.1 versions of the Eternal, so everything implies that these are prototypes, not the final versions. The final versions are the ones we saw, the ones that we know, but they're just not characters because nothing in the Shadowlands changed. They didn't have to do anything that we know about. So as far as we know, they could be basically fresh out of the printer in terms of experiences, in terms of pre-programming, their personalities pre-installed, versus these rich characters. Has the Primus fought 1,000 wars? Has he got a little notebook of all of his tactical decisions that went wrong and right to study where he's great? Or was that all pre-programmed into him by some intelligent design, by destiny?
So, I don't think so. I think this is merely the creation and the initial properties of these beings.
Yeah, but he's already old. He already has those runes, and we haven't seen any of that stuff go on.
I mean, I think they've probably done that partially for production reasons and for player readability. But I understand the issue.
Yeah, but combine that with the fact that the entirety of as far as I understand, like the themes of the Shadowlands as a society was stasis and being too rigid and not being able to change. And then you've got this whole massive problem of, by default, I now consider the Shadowlands characters to not be characters unless I've seen them do stuff. So just all of the mystery behind them is completely gone. And that's what you risk whenever you start to fire loads of intelligent design into your characters. You're like, well,
yeah,
it's the same thing as Destiny. It's the same thing as Preordained Fate, where it's like, well, you've just removed all personal agency. These people aren't making decisions. They're programmed to make decisions.
It is interesting whenever they deviate from their initial conditions and from their purpose, because that's them striking out from their own. And that's some of the potential we could have had with the Shadowlands if a bit more. Some of it has happened, but I'd like a bit more time to get into it.
Almost, if Carestia had said, no, fuck the Arbiter, we're going to set up a council. That would have been the kind of thing I'm fucking thinking about, what I'm talking about. But and it's not even just this, it's the relationships to other characters. Because obviously, I don't really give a shit about these characters, but these four, whatever. Hopefully, we never see them again. Honestly speaking,
they're pretty lame.
Yeah, but,
I mean, okay, Denathrius is a fun villain, but broadly, yeah. That said, probably not going to be the case because there's a loon who's going to have to come into all of this, and a bit of 9.1 dialogue that I think a lot of people missed because it's in the Night Fate campaign that helps. But go on ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the idea of a loon comes into this as another character. A loon's a Winter Queen's sister. But,
I mean, brother, sister, how are these words used? Because the Primus describes a loon as being the Winter Queen's counterpart in the plane of life. Now, that is going to mean, does that mean direct sisters? I actually don't really think so. I think there's probably a way that this life pantheon came to be that's maybe different.
Yes,
I mean, I doubt that there is a Zareth Mortis, a Zareth Latin for life, a Zareth Shadowiness, a Zareth Lightness. That would be a very boring way for the lore to go. I don't think they're going to do that. But this immediately had people going, oh, so is a lunar robot too? And that, if you're big into the Night Elf lore and you're thinking about Anshe and Musha, and, isn't it Musha is the sort of Tauran name for a loon, probably, maybe. Isn't it? Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, and then Anshe is the sun. Yeah, so then is the sun also a god who came from a 3D printer? Probably not. But the issue is people aren't quite sure right now, and I think some of them are a little spooked. If you talk to a Tauran character and you're like, hello, you're actually worshipping, because
Anshe guide you.
Yeah, the Winter Queen is being framed as the other side of a loon, the one doing the sort of the Elune purpose. So it's not crazy to say that the Winter Queen is a sort of theologically a similar enough character, and then like if one of them can be a robot, it's another one. And these are just unfortunate questions to have floating around the lore. I mean, as I said, if a Tauren or a Night Elf found out that about Elune / Musha, they'd be a bit like, "You saying my god's a robot? Hello?"
Yeah, I mean that's
could be probably not going to be that, but an odd thing going on, and it's for me like the idea of this is, that's why I said earlier, it's like it's cool enough as an idea. I suppose they just have to be very careful about how they do it. Yeah. It just has to be that this was kind of the way that they were formed, but from that point of formation onwards, they were their own unique characters and stuff, and it's just that for an organic being, it ends up by whatever age having its personality, all those things sort of semi-crystallize, and then it moves forth, grows and changes. Maybe they got to that position in a different way, but they move forth and grow and change.
Yeah.
I think that is what Blizzard wants to do, actually.
Yeah, we just don't, as far as I'm concerned, we have almost no inclination of any nurture happened here. All of this is nature, and very recent nature. But it's like, it's implied to me when someone's old, it's implied that they have years of wisdom, but the Primus won't have years of wisdom, except the wisdom that'll be pre-programmed, which means it's artificial. Which means obviously they can get completely around all of this by just saying, no, these are copies being created by the printer on Zoval's demands. And everyone's like, sweet.
I think that probably is. That's it.
That's not what prototype means. It's not what saying the 0.01 version.
True.
It does if you think about it from just, hey, we're just going to talk broad strokes. Like, I think they maybe didn't expect people to see these and go, wait, does this mean all life is predestined and intelligently designed? So where's the agency? They probably weren't thinking about that when they thought, what's a cool boss design? So I'll give them that. Absolutely. But it's a kind of thing of, this is the problem when you get to the origins of stuff. You start to have players ask these questions, and then you have no real way out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
We'll have to see. All I'll say is, I don't mean mechanistic as in very literally made of machines.
Yeah.
I mean mechanistic as in we are dealing with the mechanisms of the very way the universe works. I think the less Warcraft is that, the better. Because right now, this is feeling a lot more sci-fi. I think maybe we haven't communicated the most precisely when we've said cosmic. When we say cosmic, we don't actually mean going to space. Yeah. We mean what we mean is seeing the sort of engine room of reality. Yeah. I think that form of the lore is it's not a win. It's not really what Warcraft as a fantasy setting really, I think, should be. Warcraft can be like a fantasy sci-fi, leaning more in the fantasy. That's what TBC was.
Yep.
But it's like this. We're starting to get iffy. We're starting to really diverge from the original teams. Really, the things that they were doing. This is way further beyond what the Titans would have felt like in the game, and they do risk just kind of jumping away from what the players are used to and enjoy.
Yeah.
That said, it's time to continue. We do have some maps. So here's the map of Zareth Mortis. This is how you'll access it. You can see there's what it looks like itself.
Looks nice.
You know what? Looks really nice. Looks quite navigable. I think the zone itself looks pretty cool. So
big circle.
Fair enough. Here's the full zone as well of Zareth Mortis. So I wonder. It looks a bit more watery there than it does there. I imagine that phasing or whatever. Who really knows? So there's some of Zareth Mortis. There is Zareth Mortis. There is the Sepulchre of the First Ones.
Nice.
The raid in 2 parts. It's quite funny. From up here, it does quite look like the Elunari a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But maybe that's an intentional thing. Who knows? To see it fully. Next thing then to talk about is the mythic tier sets.
Yeah, because they look gorgeous.
They do. They do. So let's open them up and take a look.
Hopefully Notion won't crash. But yeah.
Yep. I'm noticing I'm hitting the button.
It's loading, just taking time.
Okay, so time to talk about this. We'll skim over the set bonuses because if we do every set bonus, we will be here basically forever.
Yeah, no.
DK, Mythic DK. Hey, looking pretty sweet.
A lot better than the normal heroic one.
Indeed.
Starting to look a bit like a properly realized set.
Yeah, so Mythic DK looking pretty sweet. We're not really a class channel, so I suppose.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd like to dive into some of these.
Yeah.
But I know if we dive into all of them, not everyone's going to care, and we'll be here for like 3 hours.
Yeah. And also, I think I am. I've been playing a little bit too much FF14 to really talk about these and be entirely fair, because my idea for what decent or what I think is good class design has definitely shifted since playing FF and like healing and stuff like that and doing a lot more. But there's certainly the one thing I'll say is people are not entirely happy about all of the set bonuses. Some of them are really cool, some of them are really quite well implemented, and others are first idea out of the top of your head, please, and that'll have to do the job.
Yeah.
So there's a.
Well, we just have to hope that those undergo iteration. Like PTR hasn't started yet, so iteration can still happen. We can stop in a few of them though. So there is the Demon Hunter one.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's got some cool elements. I'm not really sure it meshes mega well, but anyway, there's that. I mean, these are pretty simple. I think loads of people have tried a DH, so we can talk about these. So increases the blade dance and death sweep damage by 20%. I mean, that's...
And actually, this is the perfect time to start talking about it, and we don't have to talk about it again.
Oh, there we go.
Yep, so blade dance and death sweep. What's that going to likely do for talent choice for Demon Hunters? Probably not change anything, because I think people are running the Trail of Blood and whatever the other one's called. I can't remember. The dance one, the one that increases this. People I think, are generally run that anyway. I'm not entirely sure on 9.1, 9.5, but there you go. Now you're going to be definitely using it on you're going to definitely take that talent to have the multiplicative bonus, and you're also definitely going to be using it in single target now. So, sorry if you like the other talents, they're likely substantially weaker now.
Yeah, there's stuff like that going on.
And that's a running theme going through a lot of these as well.
It is. You know, for me, there's a bit that just says, if it gives us a sort of unique, cool new thing for, most of the patches, I'm actually not super against it.
Yeah, I can agree with that, but it does sort of go, well, if you're spending design time and effort on talents and then technically removing the choice via tier sets, then maybe you're wasting a little bit of time. Maybe.
There's definitely something to be said for they design a lot of things and not all of them get used.
Yeah.
And then the force set, every 5th Blade Dance or Death Sweep instantly refunds its own cooldown and cost. Casting the empowered Blade Dance or Death Sweep has a 15% chance to instantly refund its own cooldown and cost. It's basically more smashy button.
Per Demon Hunters and their RSI.
Yeah, so we got the Druid set. You know what? I think it looks great. I really like the kind of like...
The fur
the angular antlers going on. The fur, as you said, looks great. So I think that's a lovely set.
Yeah.
Hunter.
Glowy. Wahoo.
I want to see this on female Night Elf.
Not human male, yeah.
Because I think human male works for some, doesn't work for others. I think this has nice elements. I think the lower half is stronger than the upper half. I think the chest is maybe a bit weak. And if it were more slender, the head and the shoulders, I think, would... Maybe the head would work better if it was more slender. It feels a bit too chunky. That could be a human male thing. So we'll need to see.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the problem. They have a lot of these sets, looking at them design-wise, they're very clearly prototypal of what the class would look like, which is a cool theme, but it might not just be realized super well when people don't want the prototypal versions. They want the fully actualized, fully realized versions for the return of class sets, which is just a sort of a minor mismatch in player expectation versus developer intent and expectation.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be trick shot time for me because the 2 set is the trick shot now increases the damage of the affected shots by 30%. 4 set, spending 80 focus grants you 2 charges of trick shots. So I have to hop into the PTR when it comes out and actually, see what that feels like. The survival is quite funny though. When kill command resets, it's got a 40% chance to make your next wildfire bomb incur no cooldown. And one of the big things about wildfire bomb is like it was just this massive, like humongous AoE.
Yeah.
Just with have cap and everything. And the 4 set, the wildfire bombs deal 30% additional damage, and this is increased to 80% for bombs that are empowered by Mad Bombardier. So we'll have to see how that goes. Mage, you know what? Looking really solid. Again, I think this would not ideal on a human male. It doesn't make the proportions and shape work as well as I think it would on a different body plan. But yeah, fundamentally neat enough set. Monk. I think the monk's
pretty nice.
The monk's really cool.
It's weird how it's so plate looking in a way, despite it being leather, and I think the helmet's a bit strange looking overall, but I kind of like the general vibe of it.
Yeah, I think once the physics is going in these things, then it's not just a sort of erect screenshot from model viewer. It'll look a bit better.
Yep.
Okay, what do you think of your class?
It's Judgment, but prototypal and a bit bigger built up.
I think it's really cool.
Which I've never super liked the Judgment set.
What?
In terms of how it's like looked.
What?
Yeah,
This is
I'm
crazy.
one of those people who don't particularly think the hey, I'm a paladin, I'm wearing robes thing is pretty useful. Just good pair of trousers does the job. But I do like the top half of the Judgment set's good.
So with this, I really like it. I really like the robe effect on the hood from the back. I think that's really cool.
Yeah,
I'd say
it's good.
if you could get a version of this that had like plate for your legs,
Yeah.
that would be maybe a really nice touch, just to give players some choice in how they dress up their character. But I think it's a really cool set anyway, and it is just that sort of thing. This might be a controversial opinion, but because Mythic participation is really quite small compared to overall, I think World of Warcraft would drive more gameplay if this was the heroic model.
For sure.
Or maybe if this model with those effects was heroic and then Mythic was just a different tint. That is how it used to work before Warlords of Draenor.
Yeah.
And, I think that would probably be worth considering. It might get more people hyped to make that jump from normal up to heroic. And I think that's a good thing because those are the players who are more likely to stick around with the game.
Yep.
So there's Paladin.
Yeah, their set bonuses are wild.
Pretty wild.
Holy Paladin one. Oh, Avenging Wrath all day long, please, thank you.
Priest, I think, again, looks awesome. Would definitely look better. Put that in a human female instead of a human male. I think it's going to look a lot better. This is actually a thing. I generally think that most of the armor sets, especially the robed ones, look way better. Way better female than male for the body plans. It's just because for some of these, like, there's just something about the chunkiness and like the proportion of all the shapes doesn't look as just like sleek and flowy. And like how the armor ends up sort of looking. Now, there's definitely times where it's, the scaling of like shoulder plates and stuff works really well with like, a big bit of plate armor.
Yeah.
That looks really cool. But I suppose it's like, the overall silhouette of this bit of cloth armor is like super close to the plate. And I think that can feel like a little bit funny for some classes. Anyway, that's just me. This is so cool. I think
the
that
face plate's cool. I like the
face is
shoulders.
really cool.
The general shapes are work okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty cool. Shaman, I think looking a bit funny with this orc just because of like the sort of the color palette. But I think this headpiece is really cool. It's almost like proto wolf thing going on.
It's really weird where the prototypal elements that they're going through, if you forget that that's by design, it looks a little unfinished. Like that's very clearly supposed to be a recreation of a wolf head or whatever, but instead it just looks like instead of looking like an actual hey, I've just ripped the skull off a thing, I've put it on my head, how badass am I? It just looks like you've made one out of clay and it doesn't look quite like as good. You haven't painted it yet. It looks like an unpainted figure in a way, which I think is just one of the problems they sort of have. One of the problems they're going to have to deal with this theme. Even though it's clear, it still doesn't feel good.
Interesting. I think that'll just be different, for different people.
Yeah.
Warlock. Hey, from the front, like I get it. Looks really cool. Bit of Malthael going on. This will be tweaked and changed, I suppose. So we'll just see what goes on there. Warrior. It depends what you think about hammerhead sharks, I suppose. I've seen some people really like this. I've seen some people really not like this. I think from the back, it's definitely a bit weaker. This sort of T shape, I think, is maybe a wee bit overstrong on the wings there. I think there's cool elements and cool thoughts that have went into it for sure.
Yeah, it's just it needs to be balanced better, I think.
Yeah, I think just a little bit of that. And, that's actually, yes. But that said, there's a lot of other things to talk about. So, Moss-worn cosmetic weapons. We then have some progenitor weapons. Let's take a look at these. Crossbows. Those look really cool. I really like how the weapons look in this raid. Those look really cool. Look at these guns. It's Destiny now.
Literally,
it's Destiny / Halo Forerunner stuff, but whatever. Yeah. Glaives, again, looking pretty cool. This is generally something we've had, actually, of the armor, the weapons even being really pretty cool from raids. There's fist weapons, daggers, looking pretty great. Look at these little celestial daggers. Think of the cool Mog sets you'll be able to make with this.
$20.
Then pair with a $20. Axe, again, looking cool. Mace is looking cool.
Yeah, the hard light kind of approach is really nice.
Yeah, I've always just kind of liked hard light looking things. So you know, the artists, they generally do a great job. It is unfortunate with the normal and heroic versions of the tiers from what we can tell so far.
Yep.
But for everything else, art-wise in this patch, I'm very liking. You know, it's like, I mean, you'll be able to make some really cool mogs, you know, with all of this, and then we'll cap it off with the polearm.
Man, I really wish they would redo polearm animations. Oh, they're just all sides.
All sides. So, look, bunch of cool stuff coming from the raid. If you're a mythic person, you're probably going to look pretty damn snazzy. Now, there is another bit of gear to talk about. Dual Legos.
Baby.
Basically, I gave you the TLDR. This is a blog post they did. I will say again, Blizzard, I appreciate you guys doing a blog post on gearing in this in this patch. I just thought that was good. You know, you're getting your design intent out there before PTR. It helps guide our thinking. It helps us give you good feedback. So thank you for that. We get to this then. So, to do a TLDR, you're going to get a new belt. That belt will have a rune carving effect on it, basically. That will always be your current Covenant legendary effect. If you swap Covenants, that belt will automatically change. You may say, but wait, I don't want it on a belt. That's fine. You'll also unlock that as just a rune carving effect. So you can put it on any bit of gear, and it will automatically swap what it is depending on your Covenant, meaning that you'll be able to wear one regular legendary and then one Covenant legendary. Now, I know a lot of people just want 2 regular legendaries. I just have to assume that it's not feasible for them to have that balance, or else they probably would have done it.
Yeah, no, that is something I was like, this is the least surprising thing. I was basically thinking that from the beginning of the expansion. Like, oh, you've done the slot thing, but it clearly still hasn't worked. Whoops.
Yeah.
I wonder what they think of that now. It's annoying that we don't really get retrospectives on systems, because I'd love to hear like what they think about doing the slot-based system now that it ultimately hasn't panned out in the way I thought they intended to, and now they're just going fuck it belt.
And here's the thing: if they did a retrospective, if they did a series of retrospectives, what's going to happen? What's going to happen is, let's just say it's a retrospective. It's decently honest about the shortcomings and etc. Talks a little bit about how they maybe will think about things differently in the future. Preach will probably react to it in a stream. It'll probably get clipped on the Preach Highlights channel. It'll probably get 20 or 30, probably get 200,000 views. And a lot of people will see Mike, happy man that they like, speak happy about World of Warcraft because a change has been made. Now that said, he's certainly a man who tried his absolute hardest to provide good feedback. It was consistently ignored, obviously to the detriment of the game. So, you know, it might take a bit to win him back, and I totally get that. I mean, I totally get that. We both know how how each other feel. We get along well. But, you know, those just water coolers, retrospectives, whatever, would be really good. Yeah. I think, you know, Ghostcrawler used to do them, and I think it would be just a good idea to do. But anyway, fair enough. I think it's probably as good as it could be, as much as it would be more exciting.
Yeah, I mean,
to be 2 of any Lego.
Again, thinking about the fact that they eventually listen to feedback and let people swap Covenants freely, then this belt probably wouldn't have done that beforehand. But now it does just go, it just automatically updates whenever. So
less punitive.
Yep, getting somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Torghast updates then. So, new boss rush mode and 4 new layers. Again, it's kind of sad that Torghast is only really coming into its own form pretty damn late. Now, there is actually another good thing that Torghast is involved with. Which was a lesson they learned from patch 8.3, actually, and are applying from the get-go, not as a 0.3.5. Right, Jailer's Gauntlet. There's new achievements being data mined relating to a new Torghast boss rush mode called the Jailer's Gauntlet. There's layers 1 through 8. And, you'll get a lightless Tormentor pet, Dominated Hearthstone, which actually is a Hearthstone that I think takes you to another location from your main Hearthstone. I read from its tooltip, which I saw be shared about. Gauntlet Runner title, and a mount, the Colossal Ebon Claw Morat. So, boss rush. It's pretty cool.
Aye.
Thumbs up. Absolutely thumbs up. I think Torghast should have had more fun things like this from the get-go, and it is sad that the potential of that system's, sort of fallen. Anyway, there's also new layers to existing floors, plus flawless achievements. So there's 4 new layers being added to each of the existing floors, in addition to updated flawless achievements and rewards. getting you the Colossal Soul Shredder Marat and the Tower Ranger title. So you got that going on.
Sound.
Yeah, now there's some other things.
Yep.
Male incubus. There you go. Hey, we got a succubus. Now let's have an incubus.
Yep. Hot female. Here's a hot male form.
There you go.
There you go. Everyone's happy now. Well, you know.
That's the way to do it. Add more.
Yeah, I mean, no, we do have to worry that we'll get into an incredible rabbit hole, and then people go, well, that's not what I envisioned of a male incubus. Where's the version I like? And then, you know, there's 7,000 different like incubus summons. But
what we need then is patch 9.2.5 Sexy Demon Studio.
Absolutely.
Where you get to make your own custom sexy demon.
That's my resub in a second.
And then, of course, they tied that into fingerprints. So you can buy them. And then a few other web services as well. You get some interesting themed items. And, you know, there you go. There you go. You don't have to rely on store mounts anymore.
Yeah. Gigantic wings.
Big wings. That's it. Now, other cool stuff. Cheetah. Look at this guy. Now, that said, right now, it does look taxidermized. But that's just because of the posing on model viewer.
Yeah.
But, I mean... Gotta say, bloody hell, Blizzard, I mean, that is just the rear end of a cheetah. There you go.
Well, at least it's not as detailed as Red Dead Redemption 2 would make it.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Blizzard, the balls don't even get colder in the cold.
Rockstar spending millions.
Multi-dollar company. I mean, man, they make a good model, don't they? Those artists make a good model. That's really nice.
Yeah.
And you know what I love? Like, they're surprisingly low poly, and the textures are doing so much work.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So Blizzard being incredible at making art assets obviously continues. We could have another look at Sylvanas. If you look there, top of her chest, you see basically where the soul kind of ended up going. Some people were like, have they retconned where she was stabbed? No, I think she was still stabbed where she was stabbed. It's just that's where her soul went back in, and that's where the crack comes from. Obviously, big speculations about what's going to happen with her.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Other things then, Season 3, Mythic Plus Keystone Master mount. This time it's red. I mean, hey, it's a bit different. It's at least more different than the Season 1 to Season 2 mount.
That looks so menacing too.
I think it's pretty cool.
Sorry, like.
So is that. And of course, reskin of a store mount available in-game. We've already basically talked about that, so we'll move on. Right, vicious PvP mounts. These always look great. So we've got one form of, I guess, progenitor wolf.
Yeah.
We have a horde form of a progenitor.
I see. That's the wolf that the shaman's wearing.
Yeah, so horde form of that. We, of course, have toads then. So there's one toad. And there's two toads. And because two of these have came out, I have to wonder, will this... will there be two PvP seasons in this patch, with this being for one and this being for the next, because it's got a cover until the next expansion comes out, and the files are going in now.
Yep.
Then, equipable broker armor, and I think it was, here's some of the concept art. I mean, I think it was Mr. GM pointed out, hey, do you want to look like Doctor Strange?
Oh, yeah, that's it.
This concept art's beautiful. They're so good. It's fucked up. They're so good.
Yeah.
We actually look at the individual pieces, in isolation, they're all looking pretty cool. When you see them mogged onto a character, they look great. So this is more really, really nice looking armor they're adding into the game. NPC models then. Here's a progenitor bot. Here's a little keeper. Here's the Constellar boss. There's broker boss progenitor. So is that like a Zymox kind of remade or something?
Maybe that's what Zymox looks like.
There's the protobot. Here is a mount. Sort of, I think that's the flying spider.
Yeah.
So there's that. I mean, yeah, there's, what's this? Bot drifter.
Maw. So there's Maw versions of pretender stuff, which means the jailer's been able to do a decent bit of work while he's been there.
Yeah, he certainly has. I mean, maybe time works a bit different there. He's had time to plan.
That Sorcerer Small looks class.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hey, look, Art Team Biss. Indeed. Spider mount, cool. Wasp mount. More robots. So yeah, just cool things going on. Now, moving on. There's new chat channels for Chromie Time.
You're right, that is just a Dragoon from StarCraft. I couldn't remember what it reminded me of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So, there you go. Chat channels for Chromie Time. Big. Game will never be the same, but hey, good. Darkmoon Fair. Dancing minigame. Who knows what it's going to be like? Hopefully it'll be fun. The more closer we are to the Manderville Gold Saucer, the better.
Well, as long as it feels somewhat just the tiniest little bit better than the roller coaster. Because I still really, really have concerns that something like that was greenlit. So I hope the dancing minigame is a little bit more in quality to the other minigames in Dark Moon, which are quite good.
Well, the roller coaster's not really a mini game. It's just a click
No, it's
and
just a
look.
it's just a big use of space.
Like, I think it was just a cute thing that somebody threw in a week, not on a weekend, but yeah, I think it was like a little nice to have.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, there's this mini game, whole bunch of achievements for it. Look, cool. That could maybe give someone a little bit of an afternoon of entertainment, so that's all good stuff. Some other 9.2 stuff. So there's the Solo Shuffle Developer Preview. This is a feature that we haven't played yet, obviously, but we've praised. It seems like an innovative solution.
Yep, this breakdown is fantastic. By the
Yeah.
way. Fantastic.
Yeah. And this is what we love to see from Blizzard. We're very happy about. So, Solo Queue, those words have been a rallying cry for parts of the community. Today, they would like to share more information about what they're experimenting with. So why Solo Queue? Because there's times you just want to press a button and be in the arena. Skirmishes exist, but for many, they're not an appealing option. I mean, the rating isn't there. The rewards aren't there.
Yeah,
You know,
it's not the real mode. Like,
Yeah, the best gear rewards are from the content that requires a pre-made group. So while they understand the desire to have Solo Queue Arena, they have some reservations about adding it to the existing brackets. While it's very likely it will increase overall participation, it also means players won't need to form groups to participate. So they're thinking about that. Queued systems can make other players feel more dispensable since replacements are only a few button clicks away. Process of assembling a group for an activity provides immeasurable value to the social dynamics of a game like WoW. Hey, it's good to hear him talk about this, isn't it?
Yep.
As such, they prefer to keep the pre-formed group requirement for those brackets. Another concern is the impact of team comp on fairness. I mean, what if you solo queue and the best it can do is give you a shit comp and you're going to be beaten?
yeah.
And then how do they always have a system that manages to come up, to know the meta? You probably could use some neat, like, big data about win rates and stuff to be able to pair matches up in a fair manner, actually. But
Yeah, and then
harder to do.
Then that means if you're playing an off-meta class, then you never get a queue, and then
it
that's
doesn't know
awful.
what to do with you.
Yep.
Yeah, so in WoW, characters are defined by their class. When you queue, you are playing a specific class and cannot change in response to what your teammates are playing. And they're basically just going around the issue of meta and stuff like that. And pretty damn hard to solve that with a solo queue. It's not like in a bunch of other games.
Yep.
So they're talking here about the shuffle. So they're putting a new idea forward for solo queue that they think addresses the problems in a unique and novel way. Their idea is a new bracket they're calling Solo Shuffle. This bracket is solo queue only. Each time you hit the Q button, you're placed in a cohort of 6 players, 2 healers, 4 damage. This cohort will play 6 rounds, comprising every possible combination of teams made up of 1 healer and 2 damage dealers. Players will have to adopt a wide variety of comps, so will their opponents. So in the case above, both rogues will end up playing with the mage, and both rogues will end up playing with the Death Knight. After all 6 rounds are completed, players will earn or lose rating based on the results. So if a player wins all 6 rounds, they'll get more rating than somebody that only wins 3 rounds. And then they kind of go into a further illustration here. If you have these people in, this is what the 6 matches will look like.
Yep.
Of course, 6 rounds of traditional 3v3 arena has the potential to take a considerable amount of time. When players queue up for an activity, we'd prefer it didn't require 30 minutes of time. The longer the activity goes, the less likely people are to queue for it, and the more likely they are to abandon a match in progress. So there will be some fundamental differences in Solo Shuffle that force the games to end quicker. Naturally, the lack of coordination for pre-made groups will result in faster kills, but to help ensure each round resolves in 2 to 3 minutes, they're making some rule changes. Unlike a regular arena, the first team to kill an opponent immediately wins the round.
Yeah, that's all right. Yep.
Mana regeneration is further restricted, and drinking will work differently or perhaps not at all. If a player leaves, the match is resolved as if the player lost every round.
Aye.
We're approaching this idea carefully, as adding a new PvP format is a big commitment. Our intent is to implement this as a PvP brawl first, so we can experiment with the format, discover problems, receive feedback. If this is well received during the brawl, we can dig into the plan for rating changes, dealing with people abandoning the match, how ladder will work, and rewards. This article is the first step in that process, so please share your thoughts. Great. Now, here's what I will say. Try to put this in not as a brawl. Make it so that people can get loads of conquests from doing this. Make it so they can get gear. Because I think this really needs to be given a good shot.
Yeah.
And in a way where, it's not just a cool brawl to do once or twice, in a way where people could actually try to do this as one of their main formats of PvP for an extended amount of time so Blizzard can get really good data. But fundamentally, I'm just really excited that they're really addressing this problem. They're addressing it with effort and creating a novel solution. So this is great work. This is what we want to see be done in World of Warcraft, and this is the type of communication that we want to see as well. So with this, for the WoW team, it is, it's full marks in every category.
Yeah, I think that's... The idea of it being a brawl's fine as long as it's an extended brawl. Because like they said, they didn't want to just actually go ahead and implement it as a whole new thing. Because that would be a huge amount of time, and then there'd be... So, you can't just say, well, risk all your... Go completely risky on one good idea you have. So I think it's fair as long as they keep it open long enough and it's incentivized long enough to have people do it. They really should, massively tune up rewards, because if this is them laying the foundation for the future of PvP, then they can maybe throw a little bit of today's PvP under the bus if they want this to be the actual real way it goes forward.
If this succeeds, people will do it to earn conquest in a primary way, and maybe even to push rating and earn really good gear.
Yeah.
So whenever we're testing the system out, it should be under those conditions, because we don't want the problem of, players play a beta differently to how they play live, because on live it's actually their character and it matters.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, look, I just think it's great. And whenever we see good things like this, we really have to praise. We have to, give them their due. It's only fair. We criticize them pretty damn heavily whenever we think something's worth criticizing. But I think you only really have I don't mean everyone's got the right to say whatever the fuck they want, but I think you only really have the right to do that and be respected. If when they do something right, you're willing to say, you did that right, well done, we're very happy about this. Because otherwise it's just acting in bad faith and it's not fair. So there you go. Now there's also some more good news. There's a Maldraxxus Coliseum, and also, the Enigma Arena. So a First Ones and a Maldraxxus one.
The Enigma Arena.
Created by Progenitors, ever-changing battlefield. A switch at the center can be used to create cover for yourself and allies or deny it to opponents. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah. It is big thumbs up here. It is big thumbs up. Yep. Also, Max did a video on Mythic raiding, and interesting thoughts. Actually, interesting thoughts.
Indeed.
A big thing that I do agree with him here.
Of course.
Both on the problem and why we can't do the solution that would seem like the good one. But he was saying the integrity and how good Mythic raiding is right now would be harmed by going back to 10-man in this game. Even though if I were to make a new game today, if I were consulting developers making a new game, I would recommend their raid size is no bigger than 10. But for WoW, it's simply been out for too long because there are so many classes and specs, and because there are so many combat types and amounts of adds and types of damage you can do, and because there are a million specs that all do things differently, you can't reduce the size because it's going to exclude so many classes from the game. You got to remember, this is the Mythic community talking about Mythic.
Yep.
Now, whenever I first was raiding, it was 10-mans in, technically it was like Karazhan and TBC and like 1 or 2 Doomed Knights. But realistically, it was raiding 10. It was doing so in Wrath of the Lich King. I raided 10-man all through Myths of Pandaria. Of course, the fun experience of doing 10-man in Throne of Thunder, where initially it was basically overtuned for 10-man versus the larger size. But I do agree. I think that the smaller player count it's more intimate. Even your voice comms are more clear.
Yep.
There's more just solid readability for the combat. I think a lot of people do enjoy FF being, 8 players for a bunch of its content. But if you just do that in WoW for Mythic, we're like, okay, there's only 10 slots. These are the 10 best. We're going to hyper optimize, so get fucked.
Yeah, we've got 36 specs.
Yeah.
Have fun.
So I think that's fair enough, really. It is what it is. For recommendations, though, he's got enabling cross-realm on day 1, because right now you've got to wait for Alliance and Horde's Hall of Fames to fill, and I think because there's a lot fewer Alliance Mythic raiders going on, it's held up.
If you've got a population problem, solve the population problem.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
So I think for this, though, yeah, just enable cross-realm day one. Just let people raid with their friends. Cross-faction. There's so many Horde raiders who would love to go Alliance for numerous different reasons, but they're only able, they have to raid with their friends in Horde. Removing this barrier would greatly lessen the faction imbalance and still keep a form of separation between the factions. So, you're still a Horde player, but you can play with the Alliance people. Yeah, fair enough. I think this is something the WoW team themselves are toying with.
Almost certainly.
And then a whole bunch of the technicals and mythic lockouts. Yeah, which I don't think we should dive super into.
No, I mean, a lot of the point is mostly that the way it works is too punitive on players, and it doesn't work with how players are a lot more free to play a lot more now. And they have the organization to hop into different mythic groups and stuff like that, but the lockouts punish them.
Lockouts are very different to how they, in other aspects of the game, they're very different to how they used to be back in Wrath and Kata.
Yeah, no, so I think giving people a lot more freedom across Mythic is, even though it could end up having some degenerate stuff happen in the high-end thing, I think the problem is the high-end is, obviously, I mean, the same happens in esports a lot of the time, and I feel like it's hard for people to understand this. The high-end doesn't just materialize out of nowhere. It is from the base community and people who climb to the top of it, get up there. So, I mean, people are even saying, 20 people is too much to get rating, because it's just there's not that many people hyper interested in this pure slog that is mythic rating.
Yeah.
So the more you can alleviate that, and even that'll be lockout, because I mean the thing of lockout is because all of these are basically pointed towards solving population problems, because obviously cross-realm, cross-faction, self-explanatory, but the lockout means, if you need to grab 5-year members or OA, they've quit, maybe they're off sick or something out there. Off sick like it's work, they're away having socially engaged fun and stuff like that. Then you can get 5 people from another group. You could hit up your friends guild and go, oh hey, I know you guys don't raid on a Thursday, but you're doing Mythic Plus. Do you want to help us in with this kill? That would work. So that would just solve the population problem. That's basically the point of it.
Yeah. These are good stuff we wanted to call out. There's sort of good ideas floating around. Also, Jet pointed out something I think is good. And basically, why are we penalizing people for not timing a key? You're already penalized because your key didn't go higher, but you wanted it to.
Yeah.
So why knock it down one? Because, it's like, oh, okay, great. Now my key is depleted. Okay, and I need to run the key again to get it back to where I was. And then hopefully I'll then get to... Yeah, it doesn't feel great.
Yep. No, I think it's...
Good point. Basically, make game less punitive.
Yeah.
Probably a good idea.
Mythic rating overall is really... well, not Mythic, so I haven't done it in a long time, but...
Your last Mythic was...
It was... I attempted to raid early Mythic in BFA and then didn't bother. But it was mostly Antaurus.
Yeah.
And some Emerald Ember. But it was just 20 people, so many people. It's so many people. It's far too... especially because you have a lot of people you have to organize very specifically for a specific time. I mean, obviously this does vary, especially these days, but I mean, it's hard enough getting 4 or 5 people for Mythic Plus a lot of the time, just because with people who are older and have different schedules, unless you're really taking it super hardcore. It's the kind of thing where I think they can reduce barriers to Mythic rating in almost every way without having to reduce the barrier in terms of how the game's difficult. Where it's a case of, if you could get into the game, if you get into Mythic rating player power wise a lot easier, and you didn't have as much stuff to actually have to do to stay at that power, then obviously hurting the preparation side of it does hurt the high end stuff and does hurt some of the feel of it, because you don't just want it to be just a raw gameplay challenge. But if you can reduce every barrier that's not affecting core gameplay, then I think that'll just be healthier overall for the scene, and that's the way they should generally move, I think.
Totally. I guess for other things, right. So some context here. We went for 2 hours, and currently the whiskey bar is basically booked out for the whole company because we're celebrating the game reveal. So soon enough, me and Matt are going away to the whiskey bar.
Yeah, you say whole company as if it's absolutely gigantic, we've booked the whole thing.
Well, we got enough for 15 people. Of course, some of our remote people, aren't going to be there, but it'll be a packed enough crowd as far as our lot goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to do that pretty soon because we don't want to miss out. For other things, I guess I think we're going to promote this to a next stream.
Yes, we'll do this next stream because I think the cool concepts in the community is great.
Yeah, I
but-
don't want to just race through it.
Yeah.
Of course, look, Bobby, I'll have you killed Kotick.
Yeah,
Certainly one way to put it.
Yeah,
Mostly say we've done it.
Yeah, so we have 2 videos covering this in depth. The first one's like 51 minutes long on the news channel. Check.
It felt like 20 to record.
Yeah, if you're done here and want more of us, you could just go check that out. I think that came out really well. Then there's also we talk about a follow up for like 25 minutes talking about Jim Ryan from PlayStation attacking them, and then some of the internal stuff with Mike Ibarra.
Can I just call out?
Yes, you can work away.
Rory created 2 fucking incredible thumbnails for this.
They're fantastic.
What a legend. I mean, so I like this one for the overt demoness, but
Yeah.
this one here, the way the flames and like the
Yeah.
light coming from the side of Bobby, it's like a movie poster.
Yeah, Bobby's face is just so expressive there.
What's this one?
That's the Call of Duty one.
Oh yeah, because Vanguard's, I don't know if you know this, Vanguard has like, it's 40% down in sales from last year.
Yeah, one of the for a little bit of context, one of the other possible titles for that was Activision's worst launch in 14 years.
Yeah, and it, at least in, and like digital was pretty down as well. This isn't just one of those things where like, oh, the physical sales are down because everyone buys physical games. No, it actually seems like a genuine issue with that game, and it's actually quite fun to dive into. But look, for the Bobby stuff, me and Matt have already done a big talk about
There's
this.
only a couple things that have changed that we can super hyper quick get through, just so we have content that covers it all. It's under the what's changed. First of all is Xbox following PlayStation, which we already said in the stream, which was, Phil Spencer's just saying the same thing, which is we're disturbed. We're going to reevaluate our relationship with Activision. We're going to, maybe tweak some things there. Evaluating all aspects of it and making ongoing proactive adjustments is the actual term. And then,
the Bloomberg report is accurate. A Microsoft spokesperson tells The Verge.
Yeah, that was the Bloomberg report of the internal email from Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other thing then is it was literally, I swear to God, it was 1337 people had signed it the time I saw it earlier today. So that's a petition internally to have Bobby Kotick removed as CEO and to ensure that he doesn't have a part in voting who follows him.
Yeah,
which is, that's a bit rough considering he's holds so many shares.
Yeah, and founder.
You're being a little bit, I don't even know if it's legal to do that, to say, no, this shareholder doesn't get a vote. I don't know if you're literally allowed to do that, but over 1,000 people.
Well, the shareholder could be outvoted, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true. So over 1,000 Activision Blizzard employees want him gone, which is a small portion of the over 10,000, but still 1,000.
Yeah, no, it still is. It still is like 1,300 plus employees. There was also a sort of a fan petition going around.
Change petition,
Change.org one, and look, that's all people who are they're saying remove our boss. So if you're wondering why not everyone's immediately signing that thing.
Yeah.
The fear of retaliation. Now, as per Activision Blizzard's own things, if they start doing retaliation, that's going to come off real bad. But it is. It is what it is. Also, Girls Who Code have ended their working relationship with Activision Blizzard, saying their priorities are fundamentally misaligned and they cannot go on in good conscience. Yep. Which, of course, really sucks for the people at Blizzard who are a part of that Girls Who Code program, who are, trying to, maybe a part of what they enjoy doing at work is helping out with that. They can no longer do that, but I think they'll probably understand why. And then, I think that's mostly...
Yeah, that's all recap from then on. I don't know.
I feel really bad because he's put this together, and we have to run, but this is great.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm supposed to check the comments, see if he made that or not. I imagine he didn't. Oh, no,
I just Collins enjoyed it. Good man. Yeah.
I don't want to say he made it because obviously he might not have, but
there's other things going on. Jen O'Neill. She quit.
Oh boy.
She quit, not under the best circumstances. Some unequal pay things going on. All pretty rough. Basically, Bobby knew about a bunch of the shit and really diminished it. He put out this video that didn't come off that well internally, and just the Blizzard walkout happens. Their own response is just like, he is our Bobby. We like him. He's good. His leadership's unshakable.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have more to talk about next week as well. This stuff doesn't just go away.
Countdown to Endwalker?
Yep. That's look at that. Illustrated Countdown to Endwalker. They're going to post a nice illustration every day until it's out. which
Yeah.
and both the first two are absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
I am at the Burn Dungeon,
Yeah, you're at the burn.
4.3.
Which means you're very close to what I'm going to call is because you're not close to the end because you have a whole expansion and the expansions after stuff. But as far as I remember my experience of it from earlier this year, you kind of, how to put it, you get into a pace, right? You get into an absolute burst of a sprint starting around somewhere in 4.4, 4.5. You just start running. And then you look around, realize it's about, I don't know, about 60 hours later. And you finish it all and you're like, how was I going that fast for that long? Holy shit. It is absolutely, I cannot wait to see what messages you send me as you go through.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be pretty big. So I think big things are about to happen. 4.1, brilliant. 4.2, brilliant. Fucking hell.
What about 4.3?
Huh?
What about 4.3?
That's going to be... I haven't done it yet. It's going to be...
4.3, you did.
What?
4.3, you did. The trial we did was the end of 4.3.
It's not on the end of 4.2.
No.
Oh, yeah, no, it was that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm 4.4.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Burn
Yeah,
Dungeon.
you said that, yeah.
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 My marbles are gone.
Without saying what it is, what do you think about the intermission in the rate trial?
One of the cooler intermissions I've seen in a boss fight. Yeah, really fucking cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Goddamn. I suppose we should cover this week's new videos. Big Lauren Sargeras. Heavily recommend checking this one out. I think
It's pretty good.
you know it's. I mean, yeah, no, on all counts, I think it's a really solid video. I think you'll enjoy it. Certainly one that has fallen foul of the current environment. Over in the other channel, then we have got how FF14 stays fun with no new content. Basically, diving into how they do events. Good shit. Good shit. Definitely some lessons to be learned. Some lessons Blizzard sort of soft applied during Mists of Pandaria, actually.
Yeah.
And they'd probably do well to think about doing again. Of course, I finished Stormblood 4.0. You know, some big things there.
Yep.
Over in the news channel, we have Bobby. Over in the news channel, we have Bobby.
Yep.
We have Vinny.
Yep.
Because oh man, the GTA trilogy. Oh, the water that covers your whole screen, the rain that covers the whole screen, and then renders behind the ocean.
It's
oh
beautiful.
boy, we got Xbox fucking nailing it all of the time. It's insane. You know, Forza, fantastic. Halo, fantastic. Just absolutely rocking it. Nvidia, you know, had to do a bit of a downgrade on their service and just downgrading people in GeForce Now. I think honestly, I mean, the videos that make me the most happy to do are the ones like this when we can talk about things going really well.
Yeah.
Because I'm amidst all this stuff, playing FF, having a great time. Playing Halo Infinite, having a great time. Your first Halo as well.
Yeah, the Halo video isn't here, but we also did a little talk about Halo, and I swear to God, it's...
Oh, it's not up yet.
It is.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah,
That is. Oh, yeah, that's the Halo footage.
Yeah, that's the Halo video. There it is on the screen now. Any Halos? Ah, yes. That was a white shirt.
Whose clip is this?
That is fairly sure that's you.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's not me. Yeah, it's not me.
I don't think I don't remember hitting that.
Well, you did.
That's very surprising. I'm not really... Oh, yeah, no, this is the first time... I think it was the first time I picked up this gun. I was trying to work out what the fuck it does. The guns in this game are weird and wacky in a pretty fun way. But yeah, man, Halo Infinite, just big team battle with all the crew going around. People, you all get in a Warthog with your friends. One of your friends drives the Warthog into a big hole and you all die. Classic Halo experience.
Yeah, Halo's been obviously because it's free to play. If you fancy a shooter, I would genuinely recommend. It's fucking great. It's fantastic.
I mean, a few wee issues here and there, but
course,
the core experience, stellar.
Yep.
The shooting stellar, the guns stellar, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, it's actually it is a perfect prelude to Endwalker Early Access because next week they're dropping I think it's next week, there's the new event thing that's happening where they're dropping basically a free concurrent battle pass thing called the something Tenrai event, Frontier Tenrai or something, but it basically has a samurai themed armor set for you to earn through playing like 30 levels of free battle pass.
In Halo?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was announced today.
Does the battle pass still take 1,000,000 years to go through?
No, they've massively sped it up.
Oh,
They
good.
massively sped it up through changes basically immediately. So,
So have
we're
they
gonna be
have they
talking about that next
responded to
week.
people's criticisms?
Within
Because I
days.
haven't looked at
Yep.
the news today.
Yep.
They were just like, okay, new battle pass next week, super fast. We're working on it.
Yeah,
Is
so,
that what they did?
yeah. So they made immediate changes like a day or two. Well, when did it drop? It was the Monday, right?
Well,
So it was
campaign,
within 2
co-op,
days.
and Forge have been pushed back.
Yeah, but they added they sped up the battle pass by changing the challenges, changed how they work, like not just like tuned it up, but literally made the changes people were asking for. Talked about wanting to do more, and also announced this additional thing, which is for samurai themed armor, and because obviously, the who will not be named in RFC is a massive samurai loving weeb, and finally got him to decide to properly play. Well, basically, I said, "Do you want to grind like shit in Halo next week to get that armor?" And he went, "Yeah, let's go." So
That's a good
that would be a
sign.
nice prelude to Endwalker. Anyway.
Okay, neat. Well, it's nice to see the feedback be actioned on so quick. That's pretty brilliant.
Oh,
I'll
well,
check that out
I see
later.
people are saying it's not that sped up. It's only marginally faster after like 20 plus matches. That's interesting.
That is true,
That
yeah.
is not what I had seen earlier today, but
I think the new samurai thing might be faster. The new thingy they're doing for the 30,
yeah,
maybe.
well,
I haven't looked into the story.
yeah. When I say that's not what I heard, I don't mean to discredit what people are saying. I mean what I heard. I basically saw a very limited set of opinion,
Gotcha.
as opposed to looking into it deeply. So, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, that's pretty sick actually.
Yeah.
Very good.
But good, right. It is time for us to take off. We have got a whiskey bar waiting for us with a whole bunch of game developers and YouTube people.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's going to be a nice little evening, I think.
Yep, absolutely. And then I can either play Halo all day tomorrow, or continue grinding the White Mage Relic, because next time I get to sit down and talk FF14 properly with stream, I'll be telling you all about my journey into healing in FF14 and why I think it fucking owns. Even though I completely see all the problems existing healers have with it in terms of being a little bit boring at times. But I tell you what, when you and your healer friend are the only two competent healers in a Tower Paradigms Breach run, incredible.
Well, that'll just started Shadowbringers. So I think we'll both have things to
Absolutely.
talk about. So with that, everybody, thank you for hanging out. Fun looking through 9.2. There's a few iffy things, few questions, but also some genuinely great stuff. And some things, some principles, some changes that I think, because actually it's not in the document. I'm going to talk about it here. I'm not going to do it super, it's not going to be mega lengthy. Maybe if I go to WoW, I'll be able to find it, because I did definitely want to have this covered with the new currency, because I think this is something that it's just worth people knowing about. There's a new currency, I forget exactly what it's called, but it's the currency that I think is used for just about everything. It's used for, upgrading your legendaries, etc., etc.
Ephemera.
But they said, actually, no, it's in the gearing.
Yeah, there it is.
Gearing Eternity's End. This is something I really think is important that everybody understands. And sorry for accidentally bearing it at the end of the video. Yeah, right. Let's just take a look at this.
Cosmic Flux, yes.
Yeah. All legendaries can be upgraded with Cosmic Flux, a new currency inspired by lessons learned from Echoes of Nyalotha in Battle for Azeroth. Cosmic Flux will be awarded from a variety of activities in Shadowlands Season 3, such as defeating raid bosses, PvP, Mythic Plus, Torghast, Tower of the Damned, and World Quests. So that is just great. This is also used for the Creation Catalyst, which basically means that, so the Creation Catalyst will use Cosmic Flux in combination with an appropriate non-set armor piece to create a progenitor armor piece, so a bit of tier gear, in that armor slot of the same item level. The armor you transform can be obtained from PvP, M+, or new Eternity's End content. So basically, Echoes of Nyalotha, the sort of catch-up currency, they're bringing that in. You will not have to do Torghast to upgrade your Legos if you do not want to. However, if Cosmic Flux is a currency with a bunch of cool rewards and you would enjoy blasting through Torghast, you can get it that way. If you're a raider, you can upgrade your legendaries through raiding. There's lessons that have been learned here, everyone.
Yep.
And maybe this is a patch, the theme and story of which doesn't really align with people, but if we're to believe what Ian sort of hinted, that the next expansion's returning to Azeroth, and we're seeing this sort of thinking, not appear in 9.2.5, instead appear in 9.2 at launch, well considered, then that, I think, is a major victory. And it does show that some things have been learned, and I think that's a very, very positive step. That, again, whenever the good stuff happens, we've got to act in good faith, and that means we praise it. It means we say, good job, and a good job has been done, and it looks like something that would be really good for the players, and I think this would be. So, happy.
Yep.
Happy. And speaking of happy, time to go to the whiskey bar.
Absolutely. So, thank you very much, everyone. We
Indeed.
will see you this time next week. Yes.
That's the plan.
Yep, that's the plan. Sorry, I thought I was. Yes. This time next week.
Grand.
No, we'll see you this time next week minus 2 hours and a bit.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah, absolutely. So
We just arrived next week. Oh no! Oh shit! We told them about 2 now. Okay, we gotta wait.
oops. Yep. All right. Good night, everyone.
Right. Good night, everyone. Have fun. We will see you next time.